Oh, thank you all, and welcome back to Breathing is Highly Dangerous. Uh, mm. Thank you all, and welcome back to Breathing is Highly Dangerous. This is Emmanuel here, and today I'm going to be reacting to um, this person that I was sent an email about. The username is Unlearn16. They sent me the TikTok page and a few of the videos, but I'm going to just look at the page on TikTok, and they just said they wanted me to react to that and see if I have any insights to what they're saying, um, and that's what I'm going to do. They sent me specific videos where they had questions about it, but I didn't want to. The few videos I said, I decided I need to know a little bit more, so I'm going to look through their channel and find a line of consistency of what they're actually saying to make sure I'm not misrepresenting what they're saying in my reaction um, and my corrections or agreements thereafter. All right, so let's get into it. I'm gonna drop myself down here a little bit. And here we go. Unlearn 16. There you go. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know how long they've been doing this, but I know this. They talk about gender quite often, so we're going to see what they've got to say about gender here. All right. Let's see. So that's a way around the question. I, f- I feel like she's being insincere with her answer. Um, she said a lot without saying much, but she certainly showed her intention, which was to redirect the question by not by answering it in a condescending sort of way. Um, let's see what sort of these. I'll make my comment before I read other people's comments. So she said, until the questions stop, I'll continue to educate. So if people are born gay, right? Sexual selection is completely by choice. Sexual attraction is is basic is by choice as well. So your environment will influence what you are sexually attracted to. Uh, the way you're reared, all those things, the influences, the allowances you're allowed in your youth will influence your first your sexual maturity, and well, not just sexual maturity in terms of biological factors, but sexual questioning and sexual knowledge. Those things are all learned through your environment. So whether you're directly educated about sex, whether you're exposed to someone that knew sex before you, and then now that a sexual experience, whether it, however extreme or very small it may be, whatever, kissing or the sexualization of body parts or certain looks or anatomy, looks or actions, even words sometimes, romanticization of certain events and people. So whatever direction you're guided in is or allowed to go in and unchecked in is in something that's not discouraged for a certain period of time within a certain environment, whatever environment that you're feeling allowed in, and you're not being redirected, and you're allowed to have your own, allowed to have your thoughts, then certainly it feels like it's not a choice because it's been there for a certain amount of time, but it certainly is a choice. You're just making these choices very quickly, and these choices are made sometimes at a young age, depending on a combination of experiences. So ultimately, in reality, you do choose your sex. Just like you choose to be gay, you choose to be straight. Yeah, in order to call yourself a certain, like this, your sexual attraction versus your sexual experience, whoever you have sex with, I mean, when you define that stuff, it's the purpose of any sexual relationship outside of heterosexuality is for pleasure, because the purpose in it is just to get your jollies off. A heterosexual relationship is the only one that has a natural purpose. That's the only one that is biologically ingrained within the human nature to participate in a heterosexual relationship. That's the only one that is quote unquote natural, because it's biological, it's intrinsic. Because in order to further humans, you have these sexual organs that produce these gametes that will potentially lead to your own progeny. So she said you were able to choose, but I don't think whether or not she meant to, but I can't say. Let's see. Talking about games. No.
Okay, guys, normally I'm at McDonald's, I know, but today I went to Tim Hortons, and I'm in the Tim Hortons line.
Tim Hortons. Why are they playing Beat It?
We're gonna play a little game to see how. I'm not the gym teacher. I'm just gay. I'm not the gym teacher. I'm just gay.
Okay.
Put your phone away. Guys, turn to pay. What do you mean you don't have your
Day in my phone.
Okay, this is gonna be the worst I ever look and sound on any TikTok ever. But why is it when you have so much fluid in your nose that you can't lie down because it falls out of your face left, right, center? But then I go to the bathroom to blow it and nothing comes out. Okay, this is gonna be the worst I ever look and sound on any TikTok ever. But why is it when you have
Oh, I forgot to look at the comments on the other video. My apologies.
Here's a story time about how I stopped the fight between two women outside of their kids' school. Okay, so I just been to the bank and I pull up to a roundabout. You guys know what a roundabout is? It's no stop signs, you just go in a circle to slow down traffic. Two women ready to throw down. Alright, so one woman pulled over to the right-hand side of the roundabout to drop off her kid in front of her school. The other woman pulled over to the left-hand side of the roundabout, got out of her car, started swearing at her as she walked towards her vehicle. Now this is where I get out of my car. I get out of my car and I walk right towards the woman who got out of her vehicle, and I got right in her face. It's like she looked right through me to the woman that was still sitting in her car, not getting out, not swearing back. I eventually talked the woman to getting back into her car, turned around to talk to the lady, make sure she was okay, the one that was still sitting in her car. Then the woman gets out of her car again because this other lady has kids chirping at the woman from the sidewalk. I eventually talked the woman back into her car, keep the other lady in her car, tell her kids to go to school, and save the day. Here's a story time about how I stopped the fight between two women.
Okay.
You're afraid of white people becoming the minority? Good heavens, why? Are minorities treated differently? You're afraid of...
Okay.
I am not a racist. My ancestry DNA kit says I am 70% European. Okay? So I'm on my way to Starbucks to get a caramel frap as my people.
Okay, so we're watching the election, as everybody should be, and playing Scrabble.
Okay.
And you're the hero flying around saving face. And if I'm dead to you, why are you at the wake?
Okay. I don't get it.
Guys, listen, I know I'm supposed to ignore trolls like this. I usually don't get lured in, but I am blown away. I am blown away that I posted an image of Ruby Bridges and Kamala Harris to denote and to symbolize the progress that has been made in the United States of America and the amazing places that we get to go. And this crap is where this individual chose to go with it. She wants to talk about Kamala Harris's sex history? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is important? I don't care. P.S. I could give a crap who she slept with. But all this is showing me is you've read, and by the way, this woman goes on to say that I should read articles. Read articles that say what? That some man says she's only where she is because of me, because she slept with me and I gave her all this power? What man do you know handing out power? Gah!
Well, okay. Well, that sort of. She didn't deny it, and she asked a question: "What man do you know handing out power?" Now, if we are to believe that the patriarchy that so many women speak of is real, then the only way for women to get power, especially Kamala Harris during her time and tenure in her office, would mean she would have to have worked within the bounds of patriarchy, and the only way for women to get power within bounds of patriarchy is to appease the men that are the patriarchy. One or the other happened. Either the patriarchy doesn't exist, or she did what she did and she got where she is. You can't have it both ways, unfortunately. But you'd also, the comparison of it would be a sort of a moral thing that you're considering of Ruby Bridges, a girl that wasn't allowed to go to school because of her skin color, which then was a representative of, hey, in the face of intolerance, walk your way regardless of what other people try to stop you from doing, and don't buy into them. Don't do what they fear for you to do. Don't do what they're asking you to do, right? Rather, as Kamala Harris is in allegedly her sexual escapades, hers would have been like, okay, so this is the way you want me to do it. This is the way women have done it before. This is the rules you want me to play by, I'll play by them to get in a better position. Now, if you want to talk about whether it's right or wrong, it depends on what they're spewing and telling you, what you should do and the options you should have and the options you should take and what you should and shouldn't have to do. So if you're complaining about the sexual objectification of women and someone is against that, but they themselves only got to the position to say that over a megaphone because they did so, then shouldn't they be opening opportunities for women themselves in the lane for women? If the patriarchy was so bad, then women would create their own society without men. Like, consider, I'll get into that later. But okay. Some of this stuff is entertainment, so I can't take her too seriously because a lot of this stuff is entertainment. So for her to be a teacher and sort of having her entertainment and education on the same thing, that's something I would like to do, but I do see how it could be a little bit counterproductive. What does that make me? Okay. Okay.
Double stuffed Oreos are the only acceptable variation on an Oreo. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is the best television show then, now, and ever. If you didn't cry at least 3 times during Remember the Titans, you're dead inside. Captain Crunch cereal is an acceptable dinner option. Tupac is the best rapper ever. All remakes suck, and scary movies build character. Docs are better than Blundstones. A pullover hoodie is better than a zip-up. Tattoos are better than piercings. Superman is better than Batman. Standard is better than an automatic. Cats are better than dogs. McDonald's is better than Burger King. Raisins do not belong in an oatmeal cookie. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and the good guys always win. Sometimes it just takes a little longer. No nuanced November.
What? Okay, that's just opinions.
Things at Longo's you never knew you needed.
But that's such a no, it doesn't. That's entertainment. I try not to conflate my best as possible.
You didn't even realize was gay.
I used to set an alarm at 3 a.m. to watch Charlie's Angels when I was like 10.
What is the gayest thing that you did as a kid that you didn't even realize?
Okay.
Who's a lesbian? Is that what she's implying? Is Joe Biden a lesbian? Is Kamala? Just so everybody knows, this is the OJ and the White Broncos stage of Donald Trump's presidency. Buckle up. Just so it... Hi guys, I'm about to blow your mind. Are you ready? Here we go. Killer whales, not whales. Jellyfish, not fish. Peanuts are not nuts. Probably not. Fireflies, not flies. White chocolate, it's not even chocolate, so stop saying it's your favorite. And my funny bone, never funny. Sometimes it's mildly sarcastic. Occasionally.
And it's not a bone.
Hi guys, I'm about to...
Okay?
It's the most unbelievable thing you have caught your student bringing to school.
Is this supposed to be an insult? You think I'm a Backstreet Boy? Is it the hat? Look, if you have a call to make and you can get me in with the Backstreet Boys, with New Kids, I'm in, my dude. Was Sir supposed to be the insult? Because call me whatever you want. I really don't care. You can figure out your own brain on your own time. Here's my bigger issue, the liberal Kool-Aid. I need you to understand what a cult is, okay? A cult is a group of people, not necessarily the most stable individuals, who are so easily brainwashed and led by a narcissistic leader. That's your team. You guys got hats and everything. I also
That's not what a cult is.
You have boys standing by and standing down. The original cult. On a side note, ignoring all of that, YOUR is your. YOUR apostrophe R-E is you are. For the love of God.
That was funny at the end.
Alright, somebody said... In the wake of oppression, the powerful will ask the oppressed to choose peace. What they really mean is order. Peace requires justice.
Uh-huh.
I don't wanna be anything other than what I've been trying to be lately. All I have to do is think of me and I peace of mind.
Sure, sex is great. But have you ever watched Donald Trump lose Georgia twice? Nobody wants to live that. We want to live in a world where if it is to kiss someone good, right? Take the vaccine. Please, take the
What? Okay.
By far the best thing I found on Twitter recently.
I can't talk right now. I'm doing hot girl. Fuck being good, I'm a bad bitch. I'm sick of motherfuckers trying to tell me how to live. Them hoes hate under my pictures on the gram. I just ate McDonald's. I said hi to Ronald. I just ate McDonald's.
Chicken. Or pig. Seriously. It's a beautiful day to save life.
Oh, he's scared. Oh, he's adorable. He's gonna tiptoe in. Tip, 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 tip. Go on. Oh, send that dog to me. It's gonna go well for me.
What?
What if I...
Okay, I gotta remember this is mostly entertainment.
China for sending us this horrible virus that's no worse than the common cold.
Okay.
Thank God he came up with a miraculous vaccine that I don't intend to take. We must punish China for sending us this horrible virus that's no worse than the common cold, so I don't need to wear a mask. Trump wore one that one time, so he's quite a hero to me. Thank God he came up with a miraculous vaccine that I don't intend to take. Oh, guys, I haven't been here in so long. I missed you. Number one, first of all, Island of Misfit Toys socks. I can't say enough about those socks. Okay, but second...
No, I will say those are cool socks.
Okay, I know
This is the best thing about her so far, are those socks.
But if the Grinch gets all of its food from, like, the garbage and it's always shipped up and that's the only interaction he has, how do you get the dog? Did somebody throw out the dog?
Yes.
Because if the Who's threw out a dog, we need to redress that entire movie. I think we need to go back, we need to take another look and find out who's throwing out puppies. That's what we need to do. And as a side note, I got this ugly Christmas sweater for a cute picture, but these are reindeer having sex. I can't put this on. My girlfriend's mom is going to see this.
You don't care.
So, first of all, I wanted to come on because it's 1992 again in my house. Growth is deleting the entire paragraph and just texting back, okay. Growth is deleting the entire...
Okay.
Dear Mr. Vernon,
When our brain sees something incredibly cute, like a puppy or a kitten or a chubby baby, we develop aggression. And scientists have labeled it cute aggression, which makes perfect sense. I used to bite it a lot as a kid. Okay, I still bite.
That's for women where they want to bite a baby's cheeks.
Puppy or a kitten,
That's
chubby baby.
women. So when she's using a clinically reported fact for that is based on the gender spectrum that she so avidly wants to deconstruct. It's very strange.
I developed a kind of an unhealthy... Okay, I just got in the car. Is this an insult?
Is this person Canadian?
Tell me the moment that you knew that your significant other was different than all the rest.
Oh, this is gonna take a minute. You guys might want to sit down. 1, this light is enough to keep her up all night. Number 2, she has no time for Rudolph's claymation at Christmas. Number 3, this scuff mark, don't even know if you can see that, drove her crazy for nearly 2 hours trying to figure out how it happened. Number 4, this amazing framed copy of a 1977 Charlie's Angels cover drives her insane. She hates it. Number 5, she doesn't eat sugar. Come on. Number 6, she doesn't think a Jaws poster is appropriate bathroom decor. It's perfect bathroom decor. Number 7, she won't watch horror movies with me. Number 8, she won't watch any of these movies with me. Why? Because they weren't on Hallmark.
You don't have any idea how much. Oh, wow. It's not saying if I could psychoanalyze this person, but I'm trying to just respond to claimant facts or opinions that they're saying, not necessarily psychoanalyze them, but I'm developing
Okay, guys, I have one
a decent
the craziest dental implant story you'll ever hear. First of all,
Ditch with something weird you used to do when you were little.
okay, so when I was a kid, I used to really want glasses, so I'd get my mom to take me to the eye doctor, take me in, and I would try to throw the exam. Now, I wouldn't throw it on, like, the E. I would wait to the next line. I'm not an idiot. So what's the next line? Like F? Like everybody can see it? And the eye doctor would come out to my mom and say, listen, she's pretending that she can't see it. She can see fine. I've looked into her eyes. She's fine. Would you go get her some glasses with some clear lenses or something so we stop bringing her in here? Now I'm old and I need glasses and, I wish I could go back to the time where I faked it. God, who in their right mind would let you near their child? Well, user a bunch of numbers with no content? That's an excellent question, and I think we should explore it. I'm kind of curious on what the qualifiers you see as being important for educators in this world and leaders in this world.
okay.
Would they include high levels of education, like say a master's degree? Would they include 20 years of experience? Could they? Could they include the capacity to enrich and entertain at the exact same time? Could it also be an individual who prioritizes your children to make sure they feel empowered and capable of doing anything they set their mind to? Or are you the type of individual that's more interested in watching bigotry and hatred prevail? More interested in ensuring that ignorance is the line of the day? We don't have that here.
Those within themselves are not qualifiers, because there's been doctors created bigotry, eugenics, these so proclaimed people with high levels of experience, that she defeats her own point. What I will say is what's relevant information to share with the child. I don't know what age she's teaching her children at. I figure that knowing about the people that think differently is important. Knowing what they think versus sharing what they think and telling you to believe what they think and accept what they think is something different. Being informed about something and then being tolerant and accepting something are completely different. Because there is one reality. No matter how many people try to tell these quantum fields, and there is one agreed reality, and that is the reality in which you're being educated in, which is when things are factual. So the moment that someone tries to give you a thought that is outside of that, that's not just a theoretical or a hypothetical, when they're saying, no, this is true, then their basis for telling you that their truth is the ultimate truth. When they're telling you that everyone experiences reality differently, means nothing, because you don't have to accept it, because that's not your reality. They defeat their own thing. Bigot, just because someone doesn't accept what you believe because they know, is because they have thought about it longer than you and thought about deeper implications, does not mean they're a bigot. And it also doesn't make you non-bigot for having a longer amount of education, nor or a higher level of education. Would those things be preferred? I would prefer attention, relevant information, and quality of information. And to be being entertaining is highly subjective, because all children aren't the same. So to try to relate to because you have to accept certain things, and if you're accepting things that are harmful to the children just to make them comfortable, you're not doing a good thing. And because believing someone versus understanding what they're saying and then seeing if they're correct about what they believe, she's created a slippery slope for herself. And I don't know what they're necessarily responding to, but would I personally let this person teach my children? I don't know yet. We'll have to find out. And it would be about what the relevant information would it be.
I want to know something from your childhood that you thought was okay, but now realize is really, really bad.
Oh, this is an easy one. As a child of the 80s, we grew up on antibiotics. You have a stomach ache, here's amoxicillin. You have an earache, here's amoxicillin. You pull a muscle in your leg, here's amoxicillin. That's why today, I need to take about 80 pounds of antibiotics to affect any sort of infection that I ever have. And I have a fear that our random prescription medication run in the 1980s might have affected us today. Like all of us. Like in an epic kind of current pandemic kind of way. Sorry.
I want to know something from your...
Those are only for the people that took the medication. But she's not off. That's called, it's resistance, where bacteria, infections, viruses can gain immunity to the medication that you take, because it's never, and your body doesn't have enough, your immune system is not strong enough, or your T cells don't replenish themselves quick enough in order to fight these diseases. And because it's something is coming, foreign, live cultures are coming to mitigate those things without the help of your body. So it doesn't have the strength to fight those things off, and they get stronger and they resist them. And then that resistance could partially transfer to your children. That's certainly something that's realistic. So they're actually not off on that. Whether or not, I don't disagree with that. So that means this person is capable of intelligent thought. That's good. That's good. I don't want to hear.
Guys, my girlfriend and I have finally agreed on a movie series. So you ready? Takes a bit of a turn. So.
What?
She's used. Guys, my girlfriend and I have finally agreed on a movie series to watch. Stay tuned. Both come to the conclusion that we love the Star Wars series, but it's gonna take a turn. Hey, what's your favorite episode?
I like the second one.
Empire Strikes Back, right?
No, like the second one.
Episode 2? Okay, so episode 2. What do you like about episode 2?
Well, you're basically in it.
I'm in it?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Okay, so the only reason she likes episode 2, it's not because of any major plot points, it's because she thinks I'm this guy. She's not wrong.
Okay.
Just went to turn on my car. Nothing. I called CAA. Let's see how it goes. If you thought I was kidding. Okay, guys.
Yes, I'm a. What?
guys,
Okay.
Send me to the Big Mac Palace before we
Gotta
take
remember,
orders.
she's not entertaining me. I'm not her audience.
let's go find out if this works. I just saw this TikTok. I'm on my way to McDonald's right now. I'm not. Well, that escalated pretty steadily over the last 4 years. Well, that escalated
White supremacy reigns.
4 years.
What?
Well, that.
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause. So this is how liberty dies.
Yeah, because he learned how to use propaganda.
So this is how liberty dies.
Did you know that people that watch the same shows repeatedly
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that. I'm gonna hold you to that.
that watch the same shows repeatedly often have severe mental illness?
I've watched House enough to be able to properly diagnose at least 10 conditions you've probably never heard of. I could save your life. Not to mention the skill set that Grey's Anatomy over their 16 or 17 season has brought to my table. I'm pretty sure I could clip an aneurysm with my bare hands. Now, some people might consider Smallville a frivolous show. However, it's this show that actually allowed me to meet Allison Mack in real life. True story. And now I know how to defend myself against an actual
Is Allison Mack the one that was accused of being a cult follower that got girls to uh-oh. I don't know if that's something she needed to admit. Uh-oh. Yep, sex cult. Yep, that's her. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. When was this?
My wit, my charm, my banter, those aren't original.
Wait, did she?
My wit, my charm.
Did she just said that?
Allison Mack in real life. True story. And now I know how to defend myself against an actual sex cult.
And now I know how to defend myself against an actual sex cult.
My wit, my charm, my banter, those aren't original to me. Those come straight out of a Gilmore Girls episode. Not to mention the educational value of the L word has had for my people from generations past and generations to come. All of this is accumulated into Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The wit, the bant, she saves the. It's feminist, alright?
And what I held my own, I reserved my when she played all those, when she showed her room of all those films, that's exactly what I thought. She got her whole life from fiction. And she says that created her. She admitted it. I didn't even have to say it. She admitted it herself. Okay, so we understand where, even if she was being hyperbolic with it, which I don't think. I think it's had more of an effect on her than she's willing to admit. In terms of reasonable people and how people actually think and how things actually affect real life situations, instead of being this whimsical optimism rather than realism, right? You can have as much optimism as you like, but if it's not realistic, you're dreaming. You're going to dream forever. You're never going to accomplish a dream that's not possible. But then they say you never know if you try. Well, try it. Think about its probability of happening versus possibility. Because technically anything that you can think of is possible, but is it probable? So the probability of it happening, should you risk the time it would take to achieve that dream to even go for it? Because what is the burden of entry? Who do you have to be? What connection do you have to have in order for this dream to come true? Are you willing to risk being wrong? Right? and this path that you haven't even achieved this success in or success doing, the people after you try to reach that, and then it's failure after failure. No one's going to succeed at this thing because it is improbable for this reality. The success of it has only ever been seen in fiction. Like, if you cannot come up with a plan for how this will work, besides the brainwashing of everybody, right? To believe non-facts, to believe they can do something that is not possible, right? But
It's ginormous and it's very heavy. I have no. MAGA is what happens when history is an elective.
MAGA is Make America Great Again. Is it really? Certainly the person I teach my child, I would like to have an unbiased and unpolitical bias towards educating my child. In fact, I would never like any person that's a teacher. I want teaching straight facts. I don't want them teaching their opinion. And if her bias comes off this strong, even for entertainment, and she says she wants to educate and entertain at the same time, means her bias is not going to be withheld. And that's teaching the children. So no, I would not like you to teach my children. And anyone that has their child being taught by you is getting great lessons, no doubt. Great lessons of what to... It says Unlearn16. Yeah, we're going to have to unlearn what you teach because you're being very biased. Whether or not you give facts with your bias, you should give objective or at least know when you're biased, let them know when you're biased, and say, and give them something to balance your bias. Because what balances your bias? Because I don't, in good faith, I cannot say, and I'm not in your classroom, but because you are usually responding to adults, and the condescension that you have with responding to adults, the question that comes from children, I sincerely doubt you're able to, you provide them an explanation of yourself. If you don't really explain yourself, you redirect with adults that won't tolerate just won't take your word for it. It's unfortunate. I think this person's intelligent. But I think they're incredibly leaned. They're off base. They're unbased. Even though hey, and this is to say, I could possibly enjoy them as a friend. But I would not like them as my child's teacher. And that's just because I can accept anyone as a friend because I don't have to accept their politics. But I'm not political. If you're going to call yourself a teacher, you better not be teaching your politics. And that's just, or teach both sides. But I don't know that yet. So I'm still going through. The only thing she's so far talked about is MAGA. So, why you...
Be honest with me. What is the real reason why you're single right
I thought she was...
Okay, I don't care about her question, but holy frack, is that Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica? I know it's happened before, and
I don't know what that means. I'm trying to figure out if she's Canadian. I don't really care. It doesn't matter.
Put on them is way too sweet. So I
She invented peanut.
okay, quick story time. So my mom sent me out, and she.
For there was always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. For there was always light, if only we're
Hi. Based on your recent lack of communication, I've gathered that
Okay, Nikki, you might be the master of schmorgasms or whatever the hell you want to call them, but what the hell is this? Is this from New Jersey? This is a phone. Come on.
Hi. Based on your recent lack of communication.
That's a Bluetooth.
Okay, so I thought people seem to love Presley, so I thought I'd get...
The way people are telling me to be scared of the COVID vaccine, like, I've had Bieber fever 3 times. No side effects scare me, thank you. The way people are
I don't get it.
That is not okay. You know you can't be.
Oh, well...
What do you guys got going tonight?
Okay, so this is for my American friends. Is there really a legitimate news story going on down in the States right now talking about President Joe Biden buying a Peloton bike and how he's not a man of the people anymore and how it's a national security risk? Are you kidding? Okay, so this is for my American friends. Is there really a legitimate news story going on down in the States right now? In the 1980s, A&W introduced a new 1/3 burger to compete with McDonald's Quarter Pounder. It didn't sell because Americans thought that a Quarter Pounder was bigger than a third. So if you ever question it,
Okay.
so I just read on Uber Facts that in some Canadian provinces, cities, the police actually hand out positive tickets to encourage good behavior and commend Canadians for good behavior. I've been here for 45 years. I've never once got a good ticket. Okay, so I just read on Uber Facts that in some Canadian provinces, cities, the police
Okay, so you're
actually hand
45.
out positive tickets to encourage good behavior and commend Canadians for good behavior. I've been here for 45 years. I've never once got... Okay, guys, so I have been binge watching The Crown, which is an amazing show, and if you're not watching it, please go watch it. Here are my 2 takeaways so far. Are you ready? Number 1, I know there's a conspiracy theory. This is the crown of Princess Diana. I don't think that ever happened, and here's why. She doesn't ever overstep her bounds. She doesn't ever take matters into her own hands. She always does what's right. She always does what's appropriate. She never uses her royal power in any significant way, which leads me to believe, like, why on earth would you even want to be a royal at that point? And number 2, I should never have any real power, because I'm pretty sure the 17 people that stepped out of line with her, including her cheating, rotten husband, I would have lost my mind. There would have been a royal kind of head nod, go take care of that situation. My kid would have been slapped back in line, I'm telling you right now. And the government, don't even start me on the government.
Is she talking about Parliament? She's talking about a television show, which is takes liberties. She says she doesn't believe there was conspiracy. I hope I won't touch that. I'll let her have that.
Okay, so I have a question.
No, I'll leave
Okay,
it.
so-
I'll leave it. I'll leave it.
The word... Hey, did a bunch of Reddit users just go up against Wall Street and win? I'm gonna go take an economics class. Hey, did a bunch of Reddit... So everybody asks me, mostly Americans, where I get all the good candy and chocolate. I'm going to the British store and I'm going to take you with me. Now, if you're from America, I'm sorry, you can't get this stuff because you're revolted. But you can look at it with me. This is home fried curry. I don't know, like, look at this. I think I might need to buy it just to see. Marmite is a staple. If you don't know what it is, you just don't. That's... Bop it.
Like you cut, G. Like you cut, G.
Thought I would just come on and break down Ford's announcement that he made today, so stand by. So he had an important press conference today that he wants to make an announcement, and he will be making an announcement at a later time. So stay tuned for the announcement. And as a consistent announcement, if any mistakes are made, it's obviously Trudeau's fault. Thought I would just...
Okay.
Hey, just here to keep you updated on the next thing the Ontario government's going to do. Stay tuned. So Ford has devised a 6-point plan in order to stop the spread of the variant that we are now facing. My girlfriend comes over last night and I come down. I've had this Dyson for 6 months. should go well. Okay, I have a quick question. It's not a quick question. It's a very big economics question. Here it is. I completely support the idea of raising the minimum wage. I don't think that anybody should live below the poverty line working a full-time job. It's ridiculous. But here's my question. If we raise the minimum wage, does that actually increase inflation? And to what extent does it increase inflation? Does it make the raise in minimum wage a moot point that doesn't actually impact anything because everything costs so much more? Shouldn't we at the same time pair raising the minimum wage with lowering some of the upper class millionaires and billionaires' money so that the money is more equitably distributed across the population, thereby ensuring that the raise in minimum wage doesn't raise inflation because the whole amount of money in the system stays relatively the same? Does that make sense? I don't know. When I was in university, I got kicked out of economics class because I kept asking why we just couldn't erase all countries' debt and have a do-over. I feel like we all needed one, a do-over, so.
That's at least, see, no. I appreciate her asking a question like that and not teaching something she didn't consider very heavily. That means she is able, that means her cognitive functions right. She's able to critically think and get information, whether or not the information that she does retain is reliable and true. She does seek to learn and ask questions at some point in time.
Present, but the chocolate on them is way too sweet.
This is more of a,
Here's your daily interpretation of the meaning behind Doug Ford's announcement today. All Toronto schools are ready to open on February 16th, and today
I don't need to hear any of the COVID stuff.
Justin didn't put her in that position. The paparazzi didn't put her in that position. God, not even her father didn't even have the power to put her in that position. You want to know who did? We did. In the middle of the documentary, there's a Family Feud episode that was aired during this whole
She's talking about Britney Spears.
New trend. Kiss your pet on the head and see their...
Leche announced, ooh, okay, I don't want to be a complainer, so I'm going to come up with a better. Leche announced that we're going to postpone March break until April, and that should solve all of our problems. Ooh.
Okay.
Gonna need a part. Had to enlist the help of one of my best friends for my Valentine's Day project, and I'm gonna let you guys see the whole thing right here. Here we go. The Jaws quote couldn't be more appropriate. I think we're gonna need a bigger boat. First thing I did was create this with all the quotes that Anna and I both love. Then I got an old school projector, projected it up on my wall. I'm gonna put the canvas up there, and we're gonna trace it out. That's an 8-foot canvas. You think it's too big? We're gonna find out. The right color paint markers, essential. I love them. Do all our projects to Katrina and the Waves. It's a rule. Penciling it in. Make progress peak.
Okay.
Tell me what your name is, and then tell me what people mispronounce it as.
So, my name's Joanna. Some people call me Joe, but it's commonly mispronounced Ellen. Sometimes Justin.
Funny.
Okay, so Ontario's under a... Alright, well I just finished watching the Queen's Gambit. Now if you take a look. Okay, so I just learned that Matthew Perry actually beat up Justin Trudeau, Canada's Prime Minister, while they were both in elementary school. Look, I don't support violence, but you got beat up by Chandler from Friends? Are you joking me? Come on! Okay.
Is what happened? I don't know. Teachers don't fail kids, kids fail themselves. Okay?
Okay, Natalie, say it with me. We
This just in, Ford's new announcement. Doug Ford plans on being... Can we just skip the part where we find out that Doug Ford has a friend who owns a bracelet factory?
Get behind my campaign and we win. We're going to move Justin Trudeau out of this office into a more appropriate office. So we've got something lined up already for him.
Number one, you come off as unintelligent. Number two, it's not even funny. And number three, has nobody taught you how to use your phone mic? It's windy as hell and nobody can hear your stupid, ridiculous, unintelligent joke. Conservatives, let me get this straight. You had a party convention. You looked around at all of the possible conservative candidates, and this is the guy that rode to the head of the pack? Oh.
Okay. Wait, what? Proves bigotry by hanging a transphobic sign outside her office.
Oh, this woman's been...
How can you reject the existence of someone to claim to be trans if anyone that is believed there are two genders recognizes that people believe that there are trans people that are transgender. What they do not recognize is that transgender person does not become the sex or the gender that they choose to identify as biologically. This is a non-argument. The fact that you see that as bigotry is very, very unintelligent on your end. And that has nothing to do with the other person. Your ignorance, personal ignorance, and rejection of biology, which you claim to be a propagator of fact as a teacher, and if you are not, then you should get out of teaching, because if you cannot express and believe and accept and encourage fact, then you should not be teaching anyone, let alone children that have no choice but to absorb what you are filling them with. You are becoming a very, very dangerous person. Now let's see what you have to say.
Been to one too many gender reveal parties where you cut the cake or burn down a forest. Let me educate you. Our sex are the biological and physiological aspects that actually make up our bodies. You with me? Gender are the socially constructed creations of society that we impose on individuals due to the fact that they are either male or female.
And those impositions are created because of the biological factors which they represent. And there are only two that are represented. The fact that the characteristics of either gender, the roles, the actions that they may perform can be similar, does not take away from the fact that there are only two sexes which they are based off of. Saying one can be more masculine or one can be more feminine, what else? What else can you be more of? Let's see what you have to say.
They are fiction. And for the record, the more rights we can give people, the greater.
So what? So if gender is fiction, then transgenders are fiction, because you cannot be in the middle of something that doesn't exist. Okay, great. Okay, great. So you don't believe gender exists. So transgenders do not exist. Because you cannot be in between genders if gender does not exist.
Greater the equality and the justices for everybody. And stop using the word science. You don't know what that means either.
Stop using the word science. You don't know what that means either. I know what science means, but let's just look that up for her. Uh-oh. Because it hasn't changed. The intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. What? Okay, let's see.
Guys, today I've had to... Okay, now.
Let me see.
I need some gift ideas from my girlfriend. Come on, help me out. Okay, number one, there's this Moldavort or Moldavite, this black crystal that everybody's talking about on TikTok, and it's supposed to do great things, but it scares the hell out of me, so I'm not too sure if I want to do that.
Then don't.
Two, I can stop putting the bread in the banana dish. It seems to bother her a great deal.
Okay.
I can do that for her birthday. This is a hard one, but she really wants me to do more TikTok dances. I don't think I or the rest of TikTok's ready for that, but maybe we can do that. She really wants me to watch Roswell. Like all 3 seasons. That's a big gift. That might be like an anniversary kind of.
This is not a knock on her character. This is just an observation. This person likes attention. This person is a performer at heart. Therefore, this person wants to be accepted by as many people as possible. Or wants to be accepted as aggressively as possible, which I'm leaning towards. She wants a very committed group of people that agree with her. Though she's willing to ask questions, her preference is to be within an echo chamber and around people that agree with that, like most people. And that's not a knock on her. That's just an observation. So her openness, her open-mindedness, I don't know how quite open it is. Because one can never be too open-minded, but one can be too tolerant. And I feel like she breaches the threshold of over-tolerant. Because I feel she cares too much about what others think. Truly does.
Okay, Natalie, say it with me. Okay, I get asked this question a lot. I'm assuming it's a question and you weren't actually just giving me a choice. I'm sure it was a question. My real question is, why do you need to know? I immediately go to the fact that you probably think I'm cute and you need to know what team I play for. That's a different question. But I think you're looking for stereotypes, so let me see if I can dispel some for you. I love the color pink. I was horrible at science, but I'm quite good in math. You can chuck those stereotypes out the window. As a kid, I collected G.I. Joe equally to Barbie. Go figure that one out. I can drive stick, I shovel the snow, I cut the grass, I can make dinner, I do excellent laundry. I cried during Endgame. In my soul, I love to shop, but I usually buy hats and hoodies. When I buy a car, I look at the color first. I know none of that answered your question, but in all fairness, your question was boring.
You broke what stereotype? This has gotten a lot of attention. This is one of the ones that was shared with me. Okay.
Number 1, how do you tell the sex of a potato? I never learned that in biology. Number 2, I think we can safely remove the Mr. or Mrs. defining characteristics from the potato head box. I think we'll all be okay if we do that. Number 3, Why don't you come with me to Toys R Us while we fix a problem? I'm ready. This is where they're keeping the potato heads. We're going in. This is not where they're keeping the potatoes. There's no potatoes at Toys R Us. This is where they keep the potatoes. Walmart had no potatoes. Not even one. Now this is where I get the potato. For my American friends, you don't have this store. We might not have found Mr., but we found Mrs. Don't worry, I'm going to fix that. This should take care of it.
I hope she bought
Problem
that.
solved. One potato head down.
Did you buy it?
How many more stores do we gotta go to?
Did you buy it?
More stores.
Did you buy it? I hope you're not encouraging people to commit vandalism. What are you fixing? If you don't like that, so you want people to be able to accept and conform to the reality that they want other people to live in that is not based in fact, but the people that want to objectify a toy that is not based in fact, you have a problem with. I hope you bought that toy, because that's vandalism.
So people
If
keep
it wasn't
asking me
yours.
If I have any hidden talents. This TikTok, I'm going to show you what it is. Just don't worry. I'm going to turn this amazing picture into a stencil. Here's how. So I printed it on cardstock, and now I'm going to use my X-Acto knife to figure out what to take away to actually create the stencil. This part is painstaking, but it'll be worth it in the end. The tattoos are hard, but it's the attention to detail that truly makes the stencil. Just to give you a quick idea, before I tackle the face. It wouldn't be Millie if I didn't embrace the freckle. There's the final stencil, guys, but I think you gotta see it a little bit bigger to truly appreciate it. Here we go. Then I can use this old school projector and make the stencil as big as I want to make it. Any size of art for any size of house. There's my talent, guys. What do you think? And whose picture do you want me to do next?
Your talent is cutting paper with an X-Acto knife. You could have kept that a secret. I mean, I suppose it's useful in some...
Guys, I was just stuck in traffic for a solid 40 minutes. There was like lane closures, and it was pure anarchy. I was given no forewarning about this, by the way. But then in the distance, I can finally see the traffic breaking, and there's going to be a clear passage through. Now, before I finish the story, I want to preface by saying I don't want anybody to be hurt. I don't want anyone's car or truck to be hurt. I want safety for everybody. But when I wait 45 minutes in traffic, and I get to the point where you think the accident or the something...
Why does she get... Why does she feel that... See, when she's making a joke or poking at fun at people she doesn't like, there's no preface. There's no warning for insult to injury. But when you're making a joke about a traffic jam, that is one of the most relatable things to people, you feel the need to pacify. Okay. Again, not my type of comedy.
Okay, guys, so I'm a doctor.
But I'm not complaining about it because I'm choosing to watch this.
Guys, we gotta talk. Guys, it's time to turn this amazing
Into a stencil?
into a stencil.
Great.
Hey guys, so guys, I have the perfect ending to Grey's Anatomy. Are you
I
ready?
don't know anything.
Make her really happy, get her a man. Well, sir, let's see if I can measure up. Got the lid part down. I've collected all the remote controls. Am I doing this right? This is essential, right? Maybe a little early, but I guess I should get a bigger drill. Size does matter to you guys, right? This is about right. Right? I don't know why they do this. Babe, can you give me a beer? Well, I almost went to the show, but I blew my shoulder out in 10th grade. God, I was on the fast track. No, I don't need directions. I'm gonna turn right at the tree up there. I know that tree. That's the tree. Well, there is one thing I can't do just like a guy. Finish first.
The opinions expressed do not reflect those of awesome men or small potato heads.
Doug Ford says it's his job to defend the party. Most of you guys are aware that I've been taking care of my mom during a little bit of a health crisis. And for the most part, I've been doing a great job. So this afternoon, I had to take an IV out. I've taken at least 10 IVs out. I've become an expert at it. It kind of went sideways. Now, up until today,
she's
I feel as though I've
hyperbolizing.
handled it well. I've seen a lot of grace. I've seen a lot of house. The medical stuff is pretty lowbrow, and I can take care of it. Until today. Today, there was blood. And a little more blood than I was anticipating and I'd ever seen before. And immediately, I got lightheaded. So, there I am, with my head between my knees, as I'm trying to take care of my mom. My mom's having to take care of me. Just so everybody knows, I'm fine, she's fine. She was a nurse for 40 years, so she can take care of herself just fine. But I think I have to get back my stethoscope. Stop bragging, I've seen so much house. Yeah. Still hunting potatoes.
If that's a true story, then reality hits differently, doesn't it? When it's not just on TV show that you've seen 10 times and you've seen lots of blood in movies, but taking out an IV that squirts blood, imagine an open cavity. Wow. I'm not saying she should have experienced these things. I'm not saying she should have reacted differently. I'm just saying it's amazing how that small experience of a dose of reality that she wasn't able to cope with. Now, if she started applying that, if she had experiences with more reality, but of course, in her, she has a privileged position as a white female, being 45, being youth days in the 90s. There's no one questioned her behaviors. No one questioned her, or coming up, however long she's been a teacher. No one would question her competence, right? Because white female teacher, whether or not she had this haircut the whole time. I've had teachers with similar haircuts I've had lesbian teachers, all that stuff. It's whatever, but they know how to keep out the politics in the classroom. But now, it's socially acceptable to share your identity, your sexual identity with children and make them aware of your sexual identity. We never heard our teachers, this is the type of relationship I have. If you had a wife, you had a wife. I had gay teachers. If you have a husband, you had a husband. You don't talk about your relationship. You don't talk about what it takes in a relationship. In no class. You don't talk about the politics of the relationship. And you certainly don't make exceptions for potential emotional affliction. It's wild. It's as much as I hate it, I don't like bigotry, but when you're calling everything bigotry, right? You're calling everything discrimination. You're calling everything transphobia. You're calling everything, homophobic. If everything is that, then nothing is. And you lose credibility. You're not credible.
2, your girlfriend looks trepidatious, if not fearful, in all of your TikTok videos. Number 3, too many Cartwright beanies. We think you might be overcompensating. You have a Fitbit? You play the side of the conservative, Trump-supporting, fact-ignoring, anti-masker, anti-vaxxer, anti-progress, homophobic idiot far too well in your TikTok skits. We're willing to admit you have a strong push-up game. But I haven't even noticed one chain, let alone the required 2. You also seem to be standing in the way of thousands of U-Haul rentals with your required $100 of counseling before lesbians can get married? The lesbians in the Midwest really had a problem with that last one. I think they started a petition. Side note, everybody's terrified of your baby hairs. Recommendations? More snapbacks, lip bites, tank top transitions.
I'm the motherfucker in charge of the TikTok algorithm. Right fucking.
I'd like to see the annoyances of the other side. Let's keep it fair. Okay, I put on my pink. Now we're gonna do the ladies. Here we go. Look, I've told you a million times how to load the dishwasher. Bowls don't go on the bottom, and knives and spoons go up. Look, I'm just trying to put as much hair as I can down the drain. Is that okay? Does this outfit make me look fat? You fold clothes, you have to make sure there's no crease down the front. Come on. It's not what you said, it's just how you said it. I love shopping. Babe, can you just hold on to these bags? I'm gonna go into 2 more stores real quick. No, babe, we can go wherever you want to go for dinner. That'd be fun. Well, no, not there. God, not there. When we went there, I got sick. God, come on, you just choose. Excuse me, can you tell me how to get to Taco Bell? No, that's not nearly enough pillows. I'm going to HomeSense. I just asked you to get me tampons. How hard can this be? Okay, fair. This is a lot. Oh, honey, not tonight. I have a headache. I'd like to see the annoyances of the other side. Let's keep it fair.
A video about how there are no female cereal mascots.
How did I miss this? I mean, I just wasn't paying attention. How did I not pay attention to this? Sugar Crisp. Boy. Tiger. Boy. Snaps. Boy. It's hard for women to
Kicks.
get in the military.
Dora.
Boy. Snap. Crackle. Pop. Boy. 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 Boys. Toucan Sam. All boy. Seem magically delicious. 4 boys. Sure, tricks are for kids. For boy kids. You think Frankenberry being pink would matter, but no. This is for boys. Even Count Chocula. Vampires. Boys. Guys, even if they're ghosts, they're still boys. Well, guys, there's a wide open market that we should start fulfilling right about now. I'm looking for some girl characters for some new serials.
Where the heck is Kicks? It had Dora on it. And you assume their gender when they're fiction. How could you? What's wrong with you? You assume their gender by their name and their title. How do you know what they identify as? See, no, this it doesn't make any sense. It's not consistent.
Ooh, so I just finished all 17 and a half hours of Zack Snyder's Justice League epic. I'm gonna review it for you. Here's my take. Did you just call me a that? My dude, have you seen my other videos? Do you think you can measure up to my wit and intelligence? I'd like you to give it a go. Maybe if you had some content so we could see it and kind of get an idea of who you are, that might be a start. But no, you don't have any content. How else can we get into your head? Because this kind of thing is just going to make people destroy you on TikTok, sir. I don't... do you need a hug? You need a hug?
And another thing I will say is, unfortunately, the unfortunate reality, the wit and intelligence she propagates, or she claims, is none of that. You don't. Can you measure up to my wit and intelligence? What? As the children say, weird flex. That and usually, and like I said, she's a performer. She doesn't do my type of comedy. Go based off the content she watches. That's not my type of comedy either. So the things that gave her her humor, I don't find funny. I've noted. I saw one thing that was funny at one point, but the majority of her content is not funny. And dare I say, the content that she watches is female humor, which is not appealing to most males. That's what Grey's Anatomy, not made for males. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The only reason men watched it was because the girls were cute and they didn't really watch it. House. Crime shows were made for females, but some dudes watch House. I've never watched House, but that's not to say the guys don't watch House. What else she say she watched? Her trying to be a guy does not mean she is a guy. Right? So her believing and feeling like she's a guy that is able to connect with the feminine side or doesn't she I don't know if she identifies as a no, I believe she identifies as female. So if she identifies as a female, you're still a female. So the things that you believe are coming from the female perspective, and you're in an echo chamber of females that agree with you. Most likely. Because most people that would reply in this way, and I'm not giving light to that comment. It's disrespectful and possibly unnecessary. However, your condescension does not make you a better person.
Maybe he's going through a bad breakup. Maybe he lost his... Look, I got you. All right? This is all out of love. Here we go.
You're patronizing.
Right in there. That's good.
That's not funny. And I get why she responded like that, because she was attacked, so she's attacking back. But for someone that says they actually care, and then the insult, like if she was trying to be funny, sure, it's a joke, and the whole thing was a joke, and it's because you felt attacked and you hit back with humor and you thought it was witty. But where's your morality come? So to treat others like for mental health, and then if you really believe, it doesn't work. Too many things are flying around. There's a lot of confusion. It's not consistent. There's no consistency. And like you've said, you want to break barriers. You want to do something unexpected. It's not that it's unexpected. It's unwieldy. It's It's not constructive. But you have your audience that accepts this sort of behavior and doesn't check you, and the things that you say, your audience agrees with. So you're not checking yourself in those ways, because there's more people yesing you than there are challenging you. That's just it.
When I was 6, I got... Okay, can somebody work through this with me? Just give me 1 second. I just gotta organize my thoughts. 1 second. We didn't shut schools down because they're safe. And we want them in school because their mental health is being severely affected if they're at home doing schoolwork. So we open schools and we keep them open. Am I right so far? I think. And now the Ontario government is talking about making online schooling permanent. Vaccines are coming. We're actually safe in this condition. But now being in school isn't essential for their mental health. I'm going to need a ruling. I'm going to need somebody who knows how to speak forward to figure... I know what it means. It means he's figured out how to save a boatload of money, and to hell with your kid's mental health. Never mind, I got it.
What? Okay. That's not my country's politics. I don't live in Canada. I'm not going to respond to that.
Alright. This is the current noise being put out by one... Best lesson I've ever learned in any university I've ever gone to. Here we go. So it's a first-year psych class, and there's about 600 people in this stadium-esque kind of seating watching the professor enthrall us with his intelligence and his metaphor and his analysis. And as we're watching him, in walks a very late student. Now, you'd figure later, if you walk in late, you sneak in the back and sit down and shut up. But no, this woman walks all the way down the right-hand side of the stairwell, all the way to the stage, and then doesn't stop on the stage and walks right up to the stage and confronts the professor. She gives him a hard slap across his face, and I mean hard, and says to him, "And the next time you call me, I'm telling your wife." And all the women in the audience have stopped writing altogether, and he keeps trying to regain his composure and carry on with the lesson that nobody's listening to. He then stops the class calmly and asks us all what was she wearing. We all had no idea and got our first lesson into the unreliability of eyewitness testimony. Best lesson I've ever learned in any university I've ever gone to. Here we go. So it's a first-year psych class. And
That was expected. Because you don't look at detail. Also, no one got up and confronted the situation because domestic violence towards a man is not as important as domestic violence towards a woman. So say the professor was a female and a male came in and slapped her and did the same thing. Would not be acceptable. And a dude would come down and get him even if it was played. Certainly they would. It's because they didn't find her as a threat. So the analyzing her, what she was wearing, they did not identify her as a threat. People that identify threats will take that detail. When an object is not perceived as a threat, the memory of it or the recollection of it, the event rather than the victimizer is remembered. The event. Right? Once that she must have only went to psychology for a year. But that not to say that she's incorrect. She's not incorrect. But that just has something to do with people not paying attention. Double standards.
I do it on purpose to get attention. Yep. The androgynous to get attention. I cut my hair for attention. Tattoos, attention. Baggy jeans, attention. Hat, attention. My wit and charm, that's attention.
Wit and charm.
Right, it's all attention. How do you think it's worth? P.S. When you look at the views on the comment that you just put up there, if you think I'm up for attention, I think you're going to be upset with what you just did.
Why do you obviously try to be androgynous? You seem to enjoy the attention it gets you. She didn't answer the question. She keeps going off on her wit and charm. She's really tooting her own horn. But that's not to say that people don't enjoy her being entertained by her. But the entertainment factor aside from where you get your entertainment versus where you get your information, not saying they should be exclusive or separated from each other, nor exclusive to each other. She is trying to get attention. No, that's she's just a performer. You're posting a lot. You're getting talking about current news that you want attention. And then tattoos. Obviously, you're not looking at them yourself. That you want a display of your personality, whether or not other people see it. Maybe you just like it, but it is something for people to see. It's something you don't mind other people seeing. So, whether or not you're getting attention from yourself or you're getting attention from others, it's attention nonetheless. She didn't answer the question. She just questioned him. But
you guys know I could have let the Little Nas video go untouched without.
I never watched a Little Nas video.
Number one, Little Nas, you're one of the most beautiful human beings I've ever seen. Cut it out, dial it down. In the stripper pole to hell, the perfect metaphor. Number two, the 600 666 pairs of altered Nikes with the drop of blood. Inspired. And Nike, if you don't drop the lawsuit, we're coming after you because you did the whole holy water shoe, so cut the hypocrisy. And finally, a shout out to all those right-wing churches who did their damnedest to destroy this song and to make sure it never saw the light of day. Come to think of it, the attention that the homophobes and the fanatics have given to this song really should have locked them some sort of cut. At the very least, I hope he thanks them when he gets a Grammy. Oh, you guys know I couldn't let the Little Nas video go untouched. Right. We should probably just go and get something that matches this.
I just stuff. If you don't like it, just ignore it. But this was sent to me to.
This is March.
Like, I'm skipping the stuff that's supposed to be entertaining. I don't care about the stuff that's necessarily supposed to be entertaining. I care about
I can handle a lot of what COVID has thrown at
what she's saying as fact.
HA are going to wait till after the Easter break to shut down school. I'm going to read you the exact wording of our illustrious Minister of Education's last tweet. Maybe we can figure it out together. Here we go. The Peel medical officer has stated that schools are safe and are not the source of transmission. However, they can be put at risk by a high level of community spread. Alright, this is what I understand. If schools are safe, then a kid with the bubonic plague can walk into my classroom and I'm not getting it and his classmate or her classmate's not getting it either, right? But what it seems to be implying is that when the community spread is heightened, let's say at IKEA, that the rate and the possibility of kids spreading it at school increases to the point where we should shut down schools. Am I right? Ford and Lecce, you gotta get it right. Either community spread doesn't affect schools or it does. The amount of COVID cases affects what goes on in the classrooms or it doesn't. Pick a side.
I don't disagree with
Alright,
that.
we'll try a different angle here. Here we go. Let's assume you don't care about anybody but yourself. You're in your 20s, your 30s, maybe even your 40s, and you think COVID is fake. It doesn't affect you. You're not wearing a mask. You're not getting a vaccine. Open schools, open IKEA, the whole 9 yards. You're tired of all of it. You just want things to go
Open
back to
school, you don't care because you don't have kids.
Now, if you have a car accident, you have a fall at home, your appendix ruptures, and you have to go to the hospital. But since you didn't care, all of those hospitals and the ICUs are inundated with COVID patients. And now, you can't see a doctor, you can't get a surgery, and
That's Canada.
you can't get treatment.
You're in Canada.
Get it now?
You're in
See, if you
Canada.
just want to be selfish, I'm
You're in
fine with it.
Canada.
I just want to care about
You're in Canada. You all did it to yourself. Congratulations, universal healthcare at your best. Go to America, they'll get you straight.
Alright, so, I'm 7 years old, my mom takes me to Universal Studios for the first time ever. She
Okay.
Guys, what do you think it says about me that my favorite scene from any Marvel movie ever is this? Guys, what do you think it says about me that my favorite scene from any Marvel...
Okay.
What's one thing that people say in
What does it say about her? I don't. That she hasn't watched all of them? Maybe.
profession that's pretty much always a lie?
Okay, I'm a teacher. This one's gonna hurt, but I'm gonna tell you the truth. It's not a rule that only one student can go to the bathroom at a time. We made it up. Mostly to annoy you. No, hi, Rip. Alright, we made it up. Oh, I haven't done that in a while. We made it up mostly to annoy you. Like, let's think this through, right? If you're gonna sneak off and meet your friend, you're not gonna meet friends that you just had a class with. And not only that, if you really push, hey Rip, if you really push the teacher, they're gonna let you go to the bathroom because they know it's not a rule. I'm definitely getting kicked out of the staff room for that one. Damn.
Okay.
It's time to. I'm just gonna take this moment to reiterate and explain the announcement that Doug Ford, the Yabba Dabba Dudes, have taken over the cereal mascot positions. Let's see if we can find some female representation in the junk food industry. Come with me, Twinkie. King.
Little Debbie.
Question. Yeah, these are Oakleys from the 90s. It's not the point of the video. Have you ever
Sarah
spent
Lee.
a very long period of time listening to a radio station and a song comes on you hate, but you actually forget you can change the channel? I just spent 2.5 minutes listening to Informer by Snow. And you think I'd leave out the laundry lady? Let's see what kind of... Yeah, I cut myself with scissors, cutting my own hair. I blamed Ford for that, but I also want you to take a look at Ford in this.
Of Ontario, and it's ironic. It's coming from a person that is not middle squat, nothing, zero, sound or see, that sits there and criticizes their hard work.
Anna and I are going to get ready for our first Zoom wedding. I'll take the Band-Aid off. Come check it out. This is Amanda and Danielle on their very first date. Now I gotta pick out a really good outfit so I can look good during their wedding. Question, what do I wear out of... My girlfriend and I tried an unusual photo shoot, and this was the final product. But what came after this shoot, I never expected. Some of my most... Okay, so I've come on to recap. So I get a lot, you really sound like Ellen. I get a lot, you sound like Dory, which I realize is the same thing, so I'm gonna give it a go. Here's what I'm gonna mimic.
Shall call him Squishy, and he shall be mine, and he shall be my Squishy.
I shall call him Squishy, and he shall be mine, and he shall be my Squishy.
No.
So I get... This TikTok is for Doug Ford, so if you're not Doug Ford, just scroll. You both kind of have the same haircut. Look, I can take a lot of insults on this app. I mean, if you've watched my lives, you know that I don't even need a moderator. People constantly asking me, what are you, a boy or a girl? And I give them nothing. I don't even get remotely angry. I mean, they're constantly telling me my hats are being worn wrong. Also love to tell me I wear too many hoodies. They haven't condemned my watch selection yet, but it's only because I haven't put it on TikTok. I mean, they call me a snowflake. They flat out said that I need a man to be happy. And still, I never get angry. Heck, people even told me Buffy sucks. My mentality is still very Roadhouse. Be nice. I mean, I've even had a guy aggressively challenge me to a Zoom debate so he...
Roadhouse? Isn't that a Patrick Swayze movie? Be nice. What does that mean? Did they not fight? I know that's Roundhouse, but innocently attempt to make peace, but reveals his doing. And mentioning he killed a man. Right, so, wait. Okay. Sweet. Gunfight. Was she being slick?
My head straight. And then there's all the teacher shade I get. But Andrew, comparing my hair to Doug Ford's, now it's time to not be nice.
You didn't say anything.
Kind of have the same haircut. Oh, you guys wanted the skincare regimen thing, right? Okay.
No.
Okay, first of all, the video you're referring to is satire. I'll spell it for you so you can look it up.
Honestly, you didn't nail anything. You're still not a real man. Why? What?
18.
What is he replying to? What are you replying to?
I-R-E. Go check and I'll wait for you and you can come back. Second of all, I have no desire to be a man, physically, right? I think you don't understand the difference between sex and gender. Let me enlighten you. Your sex are the parts you are born with. That's it. Gender is a social construction, a made-up reality in which we've created a list of feminine and masculine traits that we have wrongly ascribed to male in...
It's not wrongly ascribed. They're masculine and feminine because of someone's aptitude to complete said tasks. Whoever does it better, or whichever sex is more likely to do said task because of the capabilities that are restricted or enhanced by their biology, that is then specified as that masculine or feminine trait. There are some that are exclusive. Of the most feminine trait you can ever have is conceiving a child. The most masculine trait you can have is giving birth to most feminine is giving birth to a child. The most masculine trait you can have as a male is giving seed. I don't know. Giving, jeez Louise. You're putting you're very, very, very much, you're making made up reality. You're wild. You're wild. And for someone that enjoys fiction so much, you truly reject. And you don't accept that people accept the fiction that you don't accept, but you expect us to accept the fiction that you do. It's wild. I get you can have a preference for it. You have the right to live your life as you choose, as you please. But to tell someone you're right when you are wrong, you're dangerous. Dangerous. Well, you're not explaining anything.
In female individuals. Are you with me so far?
No.
Everybody, like it or not, has a gender fluidity to their nature. Nobody is 100%.
Everyone has things that they can do that the opposite sex can do. Sure.
Masculine or 100% feminine ever.
She's not. That means she doesn't know what masculine and feminine traits are. I feel like she has a concept of it, but the way she's generalizing it, either being too critical or too general, I don't get where she's missing something. She's completely missing something.
The more you abide those categories, the more you limit your own life.
You limit your life by not wasting time doing the things that someone else is better at doing. If you want to learn how to do something as good as someone else, you have to look to the people that are best at it. But if you are trying to surpass someone else in what they're the best at, and you're not also capable of doing such, you're doing a disservice to yourself when you could be excelling in the things that you are biologically more adept in completing. You're wasting time with and you're causing your own self-distress and mental health facilities to become impacted and compromised. It is not good for your health to do something against your own nature.
And for the love of God, fix your grammar.
For the love of God, learn something.
Try something new when it comes to Doug Ford. Give me so much to unpack here. Okay, give me a second. Let me organize my thoughts. Here we go. Number 1. I wasn't speaking about my sexuality in that last clip. You made that association. Gender and sexuality do not go hand in hand.
Yes, they do.
Separate entities
No, they're not.
that describe different aspects of a person.
No.
Number 2, I'm not just here challenging gender as a gay woman who wears a baseball hat, right?
Yes, you are.
People have been doing this for centuries. Buddhists
No, they
claim that
haven't.
gender is a complete myth, a delusion that we've convinced ourselves of.
No, they don't.
And I don't think they're new. And by making the claim that most straight women are feminine, you're going to have to check this comment section because I promise you there's 1,000,001 ways to be a woman and none of them include following a straight list of feminine traits. I think you're also erring.
Straight woman implies that and what she keeps conflating issues. So because she thinks that people can't separate the capability of people to perform masculine and feminine traits, she thinks that the people that believe in two genders think that only these are for this and only these are for this. Where's her dynamic thought? Where's her open-mindedness? Where's her acceptance that other people can comprehend the things that she's thinking that are so complex that are not complex, that she's making extremely difficult for her own self? So listen here. Traditionally, the feminine traits that straight women have, straight women, meaning the ones that are attracted to men, the traits that they present are exclusive to them. The things that are consistent within straight women, traditionally. Just because there is a modern age and a very destructive, and you're seeing the ramifications and the loneliness and the mental health statistics of women above a certain age that thought that they didn't have to, that chose not to abide by gender roles and are receiving the results of that. Alone and depressed. Over 40 women single, alone and depressed. Because they decided to reject femininity because they thought the masculine was more powerful, right? When they are simply symbiotic. They help each other. They are both necessary because they both come from sex. When you analyze someone that's intersex, they have the traits of male and female. They don't have the traits of a third. So because gender is based off the sexes that exist, you're saying it's fictional. It's a categorization. It's like a bunch of words is like a definition being given a label of a word. So yes, this word means these so many things, but because these so many things can be explained in this one segment, in this one word, it's a categorization that is accurate to what these represent. Synonyms, antonyms, there can be nuances. There's context. She's eliminated all context. You are making a blanket statement that does not, for saying something is not reality or is so fictional because it's not. You're wild. You're wild.
On the side that the physical is all that matters. That's never the case. Honey, if you want to live in a box filled with limitations, put that on yourself. Don't put it on me.
Okay.
Guys, some days you wake up with purpose. With the Okay, so guys.
Let me hear
Guys, some days you wake up with purpose. With the absolute knowledge of greatness. Today is one of those days. On these days, you need the perfect sock. You need the right shirt. Can somebody come help me with my tie? So guys, do I go Nike or Adidas? And never forget, it's all about the watch. Okay, I'll give you a hint as to where I'm going. It's a beautiful day to save lives. You're not doing surgery.
Why?
Okay, so guys, today's been quite a day. Okay, so a few days ago, my girlfriend texted me and said, okay, I'm ready to watch the movie about the stone and the glove. I mean, of course, I laugh at her, and she gets kind of righteous and indignant and said, I don't know why you're laughing at me. I think I explained it pretty well. So I nicely respond and say, okay, you're talking about Endgame and Infinity War, right? The Avengers, the end of the Avengers. You're ready to watch this. She's never watched a single MCU movie. And for a brief, shining moment, I'm elated. She's finally gonna watch my movies with me. I am so excited. And then she responds, oh, there's a bunch of them? Never mind. After noting my disappointment, she agrees to watch one of the two movies. One? I tried to explain it to her that's not a possibility, but she didn't want to really listen to that. She wants me to tell me what happens in the other one.
Okay. Okay.
In the initial draft of Empire Strikes Back, Yoda... Hey Doug, it's Megan.
So tell me the story behind your username.
Alright, so, Unlearn16. It's my username. Let's first deal with the unlearn part. The term unlearn, actually, I stole it a little bit from a guy named Socrates. He's a political philosopher who believed that as children, the people around us, whether they're parents, educators, the media, shove, embed, stereotypical
Indoctrinate.
and prejudicial information in our heads that colors the way that we look at the world. These falsehoods need to be fought. So as we get older, it is our job to pick out these falsehoods, deconstruct them, throw them away, and make space for actual learning to occur. And only then will we see the true picture of the world. The 16 is a volleyball thing. I became captain of my volleyball team, worked very hard to do so. I think it gave me a lot of confidence and a lot of perspective on the world around me. Now, as for my tattoo I promised you, I designed it, and man did it hurt when it went on.
I don't think this person knows a lot about Socrates. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so you think the greed of teachers is what's failing our students. Let's unpack that.
Wait. I've talked about this on this channel. Because greed, it's what? The quality of care. So the amount of effort you're willing to put in, is it representative of the amount you get paid? Right? So if you're getting paid this certain amount and not willing to put in the extra effort to teach your children properly, which you're not allowed to, right? So if you are trying to teach children properly in the public school system, you're actually not allowed to teach children properly because you've got a certain curriculum you have to follow in order not to get, caught. So the greed in the matter is accepting money to teach children. And if you stay in the profession for a long time and you see the problem with teaching and you stay within those problems, continue to teach exactly the same curriculum that's not changing because you're only allowed to teach children a certain way, the greed of, hey, I'm willing to sacrifice quality of education it's like a subsidization. It's like the chance that you're taking to be able to put a little of your own personality and your own little touch to potentially touch one student that you're able to get to, or two students, or one or two students a year that you're able to speak to personally, rather than all the other students that will not have that personal rapport with you. You're taking that opportunity and receiving that money from the government, which you're not going to be able to adequately give that attention to every student. So you're really working for that one or two students that you can really get close to. Even if you care about all the other students, you're sacrificing their true education, the quality of the education, the proper education of that child, because of the potential one or two. I'm not saying... I think teachers should be the highest paid profession because they are teaching a new generation. However, there should be standards to who teaches and what they're teaching. It doesn't matter who is teaching your child if they're being taught similarly, because you're teaching if they're all being taught the same content. Now let's see what you have to say, and that's just an introduction to that. But let's see what she has to say.
This greedy teacher would demand smaller class sizes. Absolutely. Why? Because those smaller class sizes would allow individual lesson plans to be created, would allow critical thinking skills, would allow more time to be spent with individual students so they can succeed. This greedy teacher would demand a psychologist in every school in Ontario to ensure that the mental health of your child should be prioritized, not just during a pandemic. This greedy teacher would also increase funding to sports, music, and art, programs that have been decimated by previous governments to make sure your kid has the full, most well-rounded education. Could this cost more? Yeah. Could taxes go up? Yeah, they could, as would mine. But this teacher, I'm okay with that because I want to put your kids first.
This teacher's okay with that. So that's okay. 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 Okay.
You guys want to take a trip with me to see my mom?
No, she's
First
not.
hospital visit after the big surgery.
Guys, I just... Alright, today I'm... So a lot of people... So I'm sitting on my front porch, as I do every day, in order to give Presley time to survey the neighborhood. Here he is. This is how he keeps an eye on the neighborhood. You got it in check? And as I'm sitting here, I watch a mom pushing a stroller with a kid in the stroller and another one running beside her, and they're running and they're racing, and it's hilarious. And the little girl falls. Now, they're too far for me to just yell, "Can I give you some help?" But I notice the mom getting out some water and the little girl saying, I'm bleeding. So I spring into action. And I run in my front door to get as many supplies as I can grab in order to make her okay. And since I'm wearing an Avenger shirt, coincidence, I run into the house and I grab my Avenger supply of Band-Aids. All of them are represented except for the girls. I'm going to take that up with the company later. I get all the sizes to make sure I have all my bases covered. I make sure there's an Ant-Man, a Black Panther, Spider-Man, a Captain America, so she has choice in her recovery period. And as I come busting out of my door ready to go take care of the little kid, I realize I forget my Avengers mask, have to go back in the thing, grab my mask, because Avengers would be safe from COVID. But by the time I get out here, mask and Band-Aids, they're gone. So now I'm just going to sit out here and wait for some other little kid to fall so I can fulfill my destiny. So I'm sitting on my front porch as I do.
Fun.
Okay, true story. I'm standing in. Okay, guys, I just watched the. I had to tap out of the press announcement. I don't even know if it's an announcement. I'm gonna do my best to relay what just went on with the Ford government. Here it is. Number one, everybody was excited because we were throwing out the coloring system, right? Color coding areas. We've just shifted to a numbering system. Does anybody think this is anything different? And now it's called The Roadmap to Reopen. I can't. What a horrible title. Psst. May 21st. This is the... Okay, picture it. It's 2012. I've already been teaching for 10 years. Don't do the math. I'm wrapping up my third period history class, and we're all about to head off to lunch when I hear a kerfuffle coming out of the hall. That's right, I used the word kerfuffle. So right away, I sprung into action, dodged out of my door, and ran down the hallway. At a pretty good pace, I might add. And as I turned the corner, I saw one of my students on the ground with an angry look on his face and a pencil tightly gripped in his right hand. And as I got closer to him, he stood up and I could see he was in full fight mode, ready to take on the kid that had knocked him down, but with this pencil in his hand. And by some miracle, I got to him before he got to the other student. I wrapped both arms around him in a huge bear hug, lifted him up, and walked him out the door. And as I walked him out of that school, I could feel his heart pounding through his chest. And all the while, I kept repeating to him, you gotta calm down, you gotta take a breath, everything is gonna be okay. And as we... got outside and had a moment to sit down and decompress, class, he looked at me with a tear running down his face and said, "Thank you for stopping me."
Now, that's a nice story. That's a nice story. If it's true, it's nice. I'm glad something was prevented. But consider this. I won't dare to say this is your politics on it, but the way you're leaning, your audience most likely comprising of a female audience. Imagine if that was a female student and a male teacher. Picks her up, drags her outside. Other students, no context. Even if the teacher was trying to do something well, imagine there was a time where you could do that. And you, as being, you have the privilege to be able to do that.
He said, "Now I know that you have my back. No matter what I do, you're in my corner, and I'll never forget that."
That's a lot a guy be saying when he's about to stab a dude with a pencil, isn't it?
This morning and my video was taken down. Okay, TikTok. Guys, I don't normally do serious things on TikTok, but over the weekend I found out that 215 Indigenous children were found buried under a residential school in BC. I have to say something. And for those of you who don't live in Canada or just
does that surprise you?
Haven't had the education.
No offense.
This is a shout out to Stephen Lecce and Doug Ford. Listen up, boys. First of all, did I just watch a press conference? Guys, welcome to the TikTok debate of the century. It will be, well, maybe not the century, maybe the last year. But nonetheless, it'll be between yours truly and one guy's opinion. He and I might disagree on a lot, but no, we pretty much disagree on everything. But we are going to disagree with respect, we are going to disagree with intelligence, and we are going to disagree with absolutely no Google being used at any point during this debate. Hey guys, I think I've figured out Doug Ford's problem in running. I am completely overwhelmed by the outpouring of love that you've shown. Hey guys, school is... Guys. Okay. So guys, I want... Alright guys, Melissa and I were sent some brand new product. Alright, here we go. 3 pieces of advice I would offer everybody in their lives. Number 1, go to therapy. Not to fix you, but to understand you. I don't think we spend nearly enough time trying to understand ourselves before we step out into this world. Number 2, get as much education as you possibly can get and never stop. I don't care if it's university, college, traveling. Read as many books as you can. It will always serve you well.
No, it won't.
Number 3, this is a hard one. Surround yourself by authentic people. People that know themselves and stand on their own 2 feet. They will make your world better, and I hope you make theirs better. And this last one is like the secret song at the end of the album, so stay tuned.
People with a lot of confidence can claim they know themselves, and they're more confused than you. So be careful with that. It's not the worst advice, but
guys, Disney. Okay, guys, I have something. It's gonna make people destroy you on TikTok, sir. I don't. In Ontario and Fort and the whole 9 yards. But I have to draw my line. Schools open in hopes that. Hey, the United States of America. I got a question for you. You're going to create a national holiday commemorating the freedom of the slaves at the end of the Civil War in 1865. Okay, I'm with you so far.
no. It's the day that the Texans knew they were free.
I spend a lot of time on here talking about my mom, my grandmother, my uncle.
Let me finish.
Hey, the United States of America. I got a question. question for you. You're going to create a national holiday commemorating the freedom of the slaves at the end of the Civil War in 1865. Okay, I'm with you so far. But at the same time, you're going to condemn critical race theory and ban it from schools. Oh, you're so close. Hey, I spend a lot of time on here talking about my mom, my grandmother, my...
That's not wrong, though. Not that I necessarily agree with everything.
Critical race theory is not trying to program anybody's children. All it's trying to do is open up lines of communication and theoretical principles about the way our society has been built and has been shaped. Let me try a metaphor. Let's say I built my own house, and year one I start noticing cracks in the windows, my roof is leaking, I have cracks in the plaster, and I'm constantly trying to fix one thing after the other, and I can't necessarily keep up with maintaining the home that I built. Eventually, a homeowner and somebody who built their own home would understand that, well, maybe it's not the window that's the problem or the roof, maybe there's something wrong with the foundation of the house, and that's why these problems keep emerging. And as I check the foundation of the house, I see giant cracks in the concrete. Now, these cracks in the concrete basically will ensure that forever this house will continuously have to be fixed unless I tear the whole thing down and rebuild the foundation on sound principles. Now, let me apply it to critical race theory. We have built our society on a faulty foundation. We built our society on a foundation of racism, of sexism, of classism, and all of these principles built the foundation, and now we're starting to see cracks everywhere we look, and we keep putting bandages on them and filling them and yelling at people about how to fix the crack, when in actuality we need to look at the foundation. It's not about blame or guilt. Nobody's saying that the people that are living in the house, it is their fault for the way it was built. We are saying, though, if they don't deal with the foundational issues, the house is going to fall down on them just the same. So, in schools, we start looking at race as a social construction. We look at the implications that a racist society has had on us for generations after generation. The impact of that broken foundation still affects all of us today. Now, I will say this. Critical race theory is acknowledging the foundational problems. It is not paving the way for every single solution we need to take part in. That's our job. But critical race theory is the first step. If we don't acknowledge the cracks, we will just keep pasting up holes in the wall forever and never finding that solution.
The most intelligent thing she has ever said, that she said that I've watched so far. She's very sound on that. That's very. Now, the things that she will want to interject with that foundation, a problem with the foundation, are things I might have issue with. But that in itself, I have no issue with that representation of critical race theory. However, other people's certain teachers' application of critical race theory would be more accusatory to those that are benefiting the most from the foundation and the house that was built. So I can understand why people would be hesitant, but also it is very, very necessary to some degree, at a very young age. She's based in that. I'm glad. So it's because I appreciate that comment. That was good. That was good.
Hi, my name's Joe. Andrew, honey, let's try to unpack this together, shall we? First of all, walks like a duck, it should be quacks like a duck. You're mixing your metaphors here. I don't think you're up for the challenge just yet. Maybe it's outside of your wheelhouse. Maybe go study a few and come back to me with a better one. Number 2, trans is an adjective. You can't put an in front of an adjective. That was grade 8 grammar. Did you take grade 8? Did you pass grade? Did they just push you through? Failures of our education system. I'm sorry, Andrew. DM me if you have any questions. And
Okay, I don't have any comment to that. She's responding to
okay, so as of yesterday, one
a
of my
joke.
videos was taken down for bullying and harassment. Here's my issue with that. The video in question was my calm, cool, and collected response to somebody's transphobic and homophobic comment on one of my other videos. I didn't swear, I didn't yell, I didn't get aggressive in any way, shape, or form. I simply educated the individual. And he needed some education. Now, some people will say, Joanna, why do you bother? Ignore the trolls, ignore the hate, ignore all of those comments. But there's a very important reason I have to reply to some of them.
No, you don't. You want to.
Because these comments don't affect me. But here's what I do know. Somewhere out there, there's a young individual facing the same kind of discrimination and hate, and they might not have the confidence or the self-awareness or the strength to deal with it. So every comment I make back to these kind of individuals, I hope those kids can pick up those comments.
So when people try to educate you on the same, well, I guess there's a tactful way to do it where you won't get responded with, okay, fair enough. Never mind.
Use them, stare their aggressors dead in their face, and dripping with sarcasm, put them in their place. And be sure to call them hun. They love it when you call them hun. It kind of drives home the point.
They love when condescension, which is fine in response to
Here we go. Number one, critical race theory is not divisive. Want to know what is divisive? People like you. People like you who haven't actually read.
You say
theory
divisive.
stuff, who haven't understood the theory, who don't understand the political, the sociological, and the economic, racially driven foundations that this theory points out to understand what's going on in our world today. That's number one. Number two, this notion of liberal guilt. It is not liberal guilt that is causing me to look at theories like this and want to enact change. I am not on Parents' Night when they keep trying to set you up with their firefighter older son. On Parents' Night when they keep trying to set you up with their firefighter older son. Okay, why don't we define what a theory is first? Are you ready? Here it is. I'm going to read it so I don't mess it up. Here we go. A supposition or a system intended to explain something, especially one based on general principles independent of the thing to be explained. An idea used to account for a situation and justify...
That's the problem with critical race theory. What are you saying? Like, a lot of people will define it as revisionist history, but that's the problem with critical race theory. Unless you're just telling the facts, I guess the theory is about how it's affecting people today. There's no why is there need for a theory when obviously the effects are certain? I don't.
Okay, my girlfriend told me. So I just read that cannabis and sex helps alleviate migraines. Now I'm going to guess it's the finishing part of the sex that helps with the migraines, not just the, standard. So for all the straight girls, especially the Canadians here on TikTok, at least pot's legal here. So I just read that cannabis and...
Listen to me now.
Guys, just because it's tradition doesn't mean it has value, and it doesn't mean you need to replicate it.
It doesn't mean it has value. Doesn't mean it has value to others. I probably might agree what she says more than
Check your traditions.
disagree.
Do they give you power? Do they give the world around you power? If they don't, stop doing them. Make up new ones. Guys, just because...
No. traditions are valued. They inherently have value by the fact they are a tradition. They have value to someone's, to whether it be culture, whether it be family, right? There is some sort of held value to it. Doesn't mean it has value to other people. That's that. I mean, that's just an extra word. Create new ones. I agree with that. So I don't fully object to that, but she needs some more words.
First of all, I'm a registered Republican. I only seem liberal because I believe that hurricanes are caused by high barometric pressure and not gay marriage. First of all, I'm a registered Republican. I only seem liberal because I believe that hurricanes are caused by high barometric pressure and not gay marriage. First of all, I'm a registered Republican.
Doug 4. Gay marriage will destroy. Yada 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 filth. Okay. Sure.
No, it won't. But also, it doesn't help anything. So it's destructive to the people that participate in it. But marriage should not be exclusive to. Marriage should not be conducted by the state anyway. Shouldn't have anything to do with the government.
I'm gonna handle this comment while I
Nor should the government be influenced by religion.
my hair. I think I can do two things at once. Stand by. First of all, I don't know what religion you are or what religion you're quoting, and to be honest, sir, I don't care. Nobody probably cares at all. I also don't care that you think somehow it's an abomination, it's filth, it's whatever. Like in your core, if you feel that way.
Stop when she does this. You can't. She often makes assumptions about the subtext about these comments. Sure, certainly there are implications with statements like this, but when you add in words that intensify or demonize, would more likely to make this person seem more aggressive than their statement actually is, then you're not giving a proper response. Even if that's what it makes you feel. If it's not what they said, it's not what they said. If you're using a synonym, fine. But if you're using something that adds new context to the statement, don't do that because it was given to you in the context that it was. Don't add more.
But I'm having a sneaking suspicion you've been repressing. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna let you DM me, and I'm gonna invite you to the meeting. I'll send you some steak knives, I'll send you your own t-shirt that says you belong to the crew. I just feel as though you're probably a part of something incredibly oppressive, whatever that happens to be, and you're feeling the weight of that, and then you have to let it out on TikTok. I get it. Hun, just DM me. I'll sort you out. Okay, so I'm bored and alone shopping, and I thought I would rank guys' underwear. And yes, I wear guys' underwear. Solid choice. Anybody that's gonna be out there gets a nice boxer, excellent cotton, small print. Polo's a nice choice. How much innuendo does one pair of underwear need? You gotta be kidding me. Guys, there's certain things in this world that I've decided just don't matter to me. And Alright, picture.
I actually have no idea.
Guys, Doug. Hey guys, yes, today you're gay and you don't want you don't need to take the month. You can just stay at home and watch Storage Wars or something. Totally fine with that. And to your second point, which isn't connected to the first in any way, shape, or form, CRT isn't divisive. And it isn't racist. It's actually reflecting upon and creating a theoretical framework based on the society in which we live and we have seen progress over time. Have you read any, Bell? Any theoretical papers at all? No, I don't. And to your third point, which isn't connected to either of the other two, I find fascinating, but, I digress. Do you have any idea what trans women athletes have to go through in order to compete in the Olympics or the NCAA? You have any idea that they have to reduce their testosterone levels over a full year in order to fairly compete? Did you read at all about it, or are you just making judgments here?
because she doesn't accept that male and female have different. I don't. Does she not know what they have to do? But a lifetime of testosterone and other hormones and muscle build and bone structure and bone density and muscle density versus an all-life female. See, the thought, she can process information. She can attain knowledge. She is restricting herself because of her own sexuality that she does not want to investigate. She is limiting herself because of her sexuality. If she really because she is in a relationship that will not bear any fruit. It does not do anything besides give her pleasure, physical pleasure. It is not like more than a friend. A friend, if she wanted to do it for emotional, you would have a friend, a female friend without sex. If you do, she does not. She's in a relationship that is biologically unpurposed. Therefore, certain things will be unreliable, as I've stated in some of my other videos.
Who are 4 non...
Okay, guys, today...
Grade 9 health class.
I fall out of my chair, but I'm also going to share with you my most terrifying teaching story.
Oh, she's telling about... Okay.
The individuals telling educators that we can't talk about sexuality and gender at a young age because we're forcing it upon them are the same people who are asking 6-year-olds if they have a boyfriend or girlfriend yet. The individuals telling...
Interesting. One is a non-serious inquiry to test the social adaptation of this child. Another one is the strict indoctrination of a child to believe that gender does not exist. And they can be anything, and they can... Now, am I saying it's proper or okay for people to ask when there's different scenarios of people asking these children these sort of questions? But if you got a problem with them, then they got a problem with you. You do realize you qualifying yourself by saying other people do it does not make you better, even if you consider them a hypocrite. But the fact of the matter is you believe in the education of those children at the young age, of that indoctrination, which you in providing your stance, your mindset on that.
I'm here to highlight. Betty Ann, look, you've commented on a few of my videos, and I think you're desperately trying to get my attention. So you know what? I'm gonna give it to you, hon. Number 1, there's a world of difference between sex and gender. Please go refer to my 1700 post. Maybe you could actually listen this time. Second of all, I'd like to know which clothing you just designated 100% for guys. If you could send me a list. I mean, high heels were originally for Persian soldiers. Did you know that? The color pink was originally for boys. And now, pretty much every woman I see walking around are all wearing pants. It's anarchy. Betty Ann, here's my advice for you, because I think you're looking for it. I hope that you step outside of that confining box you find yourself in and start living true to you. Wear whatever you want, hon. Betty Ann, look, Hey guys, Presley just survived the... Okay guys, I found Alright guys, my Canadian politicians have put... Hey guys, What's up, Canada? You want to know who's scarier than Ford, Palliser, and Kenny all combined? It's the former Prime Minister of Canada, Conservative leader, Stephen Harper. Check it out. Before I play the next clip, let's remember who Stephen Harper actually is. Oh, Jason, let me get this straight. Nah, I hate getting things. First of all, if you go to this individual's page, the banner at the top says Canadians for Trump. Are there Canadians? Stop it. Second, my lane can be whatever I want it to be, hun. And I promise you that my goal in life is to point out politicians, people, and governments who are actually taking advantage of their position of power, manipulating the people, putting them at risk, and then taking credit as though they've solved an issue.
This is highly and incredibly bold. Wow.
Embarrassing, it's dangerous, and I'm just not going to stand by and let it happen.
The exact same things I'm saying about her, she's saying about other people. Very interesting. Very interesting. It's ironic, isn't it? I don't like using that word, but I was looking for a word to use, and because I don't use the word ironic a lot.
Because we've masked and we've social distanced and stayed at home and had lockdowns and increased our vaccination rates. That's why we're doing well here. And a lot of it's no thanks to Doug Ford. We had to force him into it. I see. What's up, guys? Anna and I are about to hit up the first Blue Jay game of the season. Hey guys, so one of my TikToks made it over to Twitter. Somebody posted it, thank you very much, and it seems to have gotten a lot of attention, and with that attention came one interesting comment. The video that got put up was me commenting and criticizing, quite heavily, Jason Kenney's new COVID policies in Alberta. Hey guys, if you thought I was going to let the mayor of Uxbridge out... Oh, sorry guys. Oh, Doug, your back to school plan, eh? Guys, I have just found out just how to... Jason, look. Okay, so I'm going to start a new segment about lessons I learned from my childhood, and they're all going to include a picture of me from my childhood in order to, boost off the story. Alright? Here we go. Okay, so here it is, and yes, I'm going to hold up the picture. I'm not going to include it digitally, because screw you guys, I'm from 1975. But look at that orange snowsuit, okay? That's me. I'm like 3. So
1978.
Okay, so it's like 1978, and I'm obviously playing in my orange snowsuit. I realize there's no snow on the ground, but I think my mom was just extra cautious during that era. She wasn't extra cautious about anything else, because I'm on a horribly dangerous metal slide, but I digress. So I'm clearly playing in the park, and I'm playing with other kids, and my mom's sitting over on the bench, or whatever it is she's sitting on, talking to the other moms in the park, having a really good time. And then I overhear something. And no, I don't remember overhearing it. I really don't remember the story at all. This is from my mom retelling me the story and what I'm about to say to her after. I hear a parent say to my mom, "Oh, are you going to let Joanna play with her? Are you real? You know she's black, right?" So obviously my mom gets passionately frustrated with this woman, tells her what kind of a bigot racist she's actually being, and she wants nothing to do with her. Packs me and my friend up, and then walks us home. Now on the way home, I start to cry. And after we drop my friend off at her house, my mom sits me down and tries to figure out what's bothering me so incredibly much. She didn't know I overheard any of this. And through my 3-year-old tears, I say this: why did that lady not like my friend? And what is going to happen when kids stop liking me for the same reason? And before my mom could explain the concept of race to me and all of the bigotry and discrimination that goes on in this world,
I believed the first part of it, then she changed too much. She didn't say all of that. I believed the first part of the sentence.
on September 20th, and I don't know what... Okay, so... Alright, let's try to go through your answers here. No immigration. we're somehow grandfathered in. We're the exception. If we didn't have immigrants, do you realize that our numbers in this country would dwindle down to nothing? We'd become eradicated because we're not having enough babies? Of course you didn't know that, but, you know, who wants to read? No refugees? Not even for those countries that we've actually created the problem and the poverty and the desperation? Nah, they're on their own? That makes sense. Look, we all know that I think I'd like to start a segment about what your school supplies say about you. If you feel the need to buy a cross pen that comes in a secure box, we're gonna have to work about your self-esteem because literally you can't prove yourself with a pen, my guy. Whoever's buying the oversized gold paper clips, you're pretending that you're cool and fun, but you're just annoying. How many you're resigning yourself to mistakes at this point. I don't care how old you are. New pencil crayons, vital to creativity. Everybody should have them. Side note, look at how inclusive Crayola has gotten. Good on you, Crayola.
No.
Wow. First of all, I am
Crayola copied that from skin color from a black-owned business, so nah.
First of all, I am blown away at how many Canadians seem to think that privatizing healthcare is a good idea. Let me try to work through this with you before you make a bad mistake. Number one, have you ever tried to purchase healthcare? Hey guys, today. So recently, me? I'm the problem with Canada? My questions are trivial and self-centered? Oh my dude, hon, let's go through this together, shall we? 1 second. So this comment is in reference to a previous TikTok I made in which I came up with 20 questions to ask all candidates running in this current Canadian election for Prime Minister of Canada. Since you didn't really tell me which questions were the most offensive to you, I think I'm gonna have to take an educated guess and really dive into your intellect. I want to, but we're going to do it anyway.
You're not allowed to do that.
Capital punishment. You probably feel as though that's a trivial question since we haven't had it in so long and our constitution is dictated. It is no longer applicable in Canadian society. Here's the problem. There's individuals on the campaign trail right now that would bring it back if they could. I want to know who they are. I want to know who's still abiding an eye for eye mentality. I also want to know their logical thinking when it pertains to this particular issue. Because I believe it is flawed, and I also believe it's going to apply to other issues that we're going to face. Number two, you probably think that abortion is just all about me because I'm a woman, but my dude, I'm gay. If I get pregnant, trust me, I had to earn it and pay for it. That's never my road. But I think this question speaks to an individual candidate and the way that they view women's bodies and the power that women should have over their bodies. And trust me when I say that is going to have great implications for many other issues facing Canadians today. And no, my dude, spicy nuggets? Oh, what up, TikTok? I usually deliver my political rants when it comes. Guys, I've been thinking really long and hard. Guys, you know what I'm tired of? Like, gutturally, just exhausted? Is that people want to live in black and white. Right or wrong. Good or bad. When the truth is, we live consistently in shades of gray.
No, we don't. We live consistently in the world where other people make choices that sometimes we don't have the ability to affect. The choices we make are black and white. When we make a choice, even if we're in the process even when we make a choice, we change the choice. When the choice we make has its result is because of the thing that we did or did not do. In every moment, or it is because of what someone did or did not do at all times. Everything in life is a direct result of doing something or something else, or of doing something or something happening to you. That is black and white. Yes or no. Good or bad is different because it's you would have to analyze the result and the effects of that it has on everyone. That determines whether it's good or bad. Now, if it's just good for you, or if it's just good for someone else, right? You could say something selfless is still bad because those are good and bad are the things that people don't really have a good classification for, because selfishness or selflessness needs to be contextualized in a particular way. But we consistently live in black and white. But and those decisions are made very frequently. Every moment that you live, you're making decisions. So when you look out at the grand scope of things, it's a shade of gray. But when you microscope in, black and white, that's what creates gray, because there is black and white. Zoom into every gray that you see, there's going to be a separation of black and white, because they are never truly molded together, because they are decisions being made. And it only looks gray. Okay? So when we're thinking about gray area, we're thinking about potentials, what may happen, and the decisions that other people may make. Right? That's what's gray. The uncertainty is what is gray. But when you are certain, it is either black or white. Uncertainty makes gray. But when you're specific and dialed in, you see the black or white. Very simple.
No matter if you're talking about politics and policy decisions, you're talking about education, relationships, whatever you're talking about, we're all in the gray zone here. So stop screaming at each other at the top of your lungs, assuming that you're standing in the only right position that ever existed. And maybe if we had more conversations, we could come to some actually pretty amazing conclusions. P.S. I never said don't have your own opinion, but back it up with fact and reason and actual research you've done. Not Facebook. Guys, you know what I'm tired of? Please don't ever show your face again. Ever?
I don't want to hear a response to an insult.
Texas Republicans, led by Abbott, are not pro-life. They are pro-birth. And there's a very big difference. If they were truly pro-life, they would support things like, I don't know, healthcare for everybody, mandated food programs, and social services for everybody in their state. They would stand against capital punishment, especially for young offenders. They would also stand firmly against people walking around their state carrying weapons. And this heartbeat bill clearly flies in the face of the American Constitution in the first place. They worded it in such a way as to skirt the principles of this constitutional right. A woman's right to choose was solidified with Roe v. Wade in 1973. And this bill doesn't quite challenge that ruling. What it attempts to do is encourage a very litigious society to sue any individual helping a woman get to an abortion or perform the abortion itself. Not focused on the woman. This bill's not about life, and it's sure not about unborn embryos. This bill is about control. It's about a religious right trying to reassert their dominance by subversively chipping away at women's rights. And make no mistake, they have no business in a democracy or in a woman's uterus. The Texas Republicans...
The unfortunate reality is more women voted for that than men. The reality of it is that it's backed by science that you're not... I'll let that be. She's exposed herself as being wholly and completely intellectually dishonest with her.
Okay, so yesterday was my first day of school, and I've been teaching a minute. Okay, I've been teaching like 20 years, but the coolest thing happened. You know, I like to think of myself as aware and incredibly supportive of diverse communities. I mean, I do have this going on.
What does that mean?
This kid stepped up to me
A
today
white woman
and
with a
just
haircut.
opened my eyes. Brand new grade 9 student, by the way. And they walked up to me at the end of the class, maybe a little nervous, but you could tell confidence was brewing, and very confidently asked, "Is there a way for us to know what everybody's gender pronoun preference would be?" And I mean, I know, guys, I should have had this on, but I just didn't. I'm still old, and, you know, I'm at a point where I figure, oh, you'll just ask. But then I started thinking about it. So today, I'm going to go in, and I'm going to make sure I individually ask everybody what their preference is, and I'm going to keep it recorded so everybody can be aware of it. I mean, the best part of teaching is when a brand new student comes in and teaches you something. I mean, oh my God, guys, I just got on Learn today. Amazing. Okay, so yesterday was my first day.
You just learned how to fall into someone's delusion. I thought you were supposed to be the teacher. You're supposed to guide them in the way of right. You're not special in that regard. You found your group. I'm glad you found somewhere where you finally feel like you're at the you've got your audience. You surely have, and these people will applaud you, and the people that respond to the people that you respond to, you give these okay. Not something I gotta argue with. It's
So I thought I'd bring you an update of the whole gender identity situation and how I'm handling it in my classroom. So the student who originally asked me about, you know, pronouns and identifiers, and if I had them, I went up to her and I asked what the best way for me to go about this with students was. And they told me that I should take the time and individually ask each student privately to know what their identity was, how I should refer to them, and how I should refer to them around their parents, because that's a different issue. I then took a minute to thank them because, I mean, this is an important change that I need to make, and I wanted them to know that they're...
Are you keeping... So... When a parent gives you the responsibility and you accept the responsibility for the welfare of this child when they're in your custody at school, and they're telling you to refer to them as this, and then in the presence of their parents, they tell you to refer to them as something else. You keeping that secret with a child is opening a door that should not be open, because you, as another adult, why can't they trust their parents? Either you should be, if you really think that that child is unsafe in their household, you should be calling Child Protective Services. If that child can't be themselves in their own household. But if you're willing to keep a secret for a child because you know their parents know what's best for them, but what you're doing is doing in direct opposition to the parents that don't allow that conduct to be participating in the home, but you're allowing it at school. So you're you're going against the beneficial and necessary things that child is being taught in their home, not things that affect people negatively, not I'm not talking about bigotry. I'm not talking about racism. I'm not talking about xenophobia. Things that inhibit that will actually negatively affect people's lives, but to allow yourself to keep a secret with a student from their parents, unless it's a surprise party or something, that's vile.
They're responsible for it. Okay, this is where it gets heartfelt. The way this individual thanked me for what I was trying to do and the attempts I was making, I mean, guys, I had to take a minute. There was a little bit of crying. Not in front of her.
That's vile.
So today I'm sitting with my students as they teach me something every day, and they tell me that today is National Suicide Awareness Day. And I got this overwhelming feeling that I needed to share this story, and I didn't want to share it with them face to face, because looking at somebody and sharing something incredibly personal sometimes is difficult, but somehow sharing it with all of you, easy. But it's not easy, but I think it's incredibly important. So about 20 years ago, my father actually committed suicide. Not many people know that. Some people ask about my dad. I speak a lot about my mom and my grandmother, and some people I'll tell, other people I'll just skirt the issue. Because you get that awe and you get that I'm so sorry, but sometimes you don't ever talk about the big things, right? And when he passed, I spent a whole bunch of time figuring, what could I have done differently? If I called him that day, if I'd flown down there, he was in Florida at the time, if I had changed my tone, what was the last thing I said? And all of these issues play again and again and again, and it starts to drive you a little crazy. So I went and spoke to somebody. Oddly, I ended up speaking to an Anglican minister. I'm not religious, but this woman she just reached into my soul somehow. You never know where you're going to find help, number one. That's a good rule. And she said, Joanna, can you do
That is a good
Can you
rule.
go home and write him a letter with your left hand? I'm right-handed. I'm like, why would I do that? She's like, trust me. Really focus on forming the words. I want you to write about how you felt that he left, why he left. Do you think he made a choice? I want you to write every single thing you feel and think about what happened, who he was, what your relationship was, what you're going to miss in the future, what he's not going to be there for. I want you to write it all down. And just recently I was cleaning up the house and I found that letter, which is why I'm bringing it up today. And I reread it. And the amount of power that letter had for me to deal with what I was feeling with, to deal with my guilt, to deal with my anger, to deal with my loss and my grief. And it helped me back then in a way I can't describe. And it still helps me today. I miss him incredibly much. I often think of what he would think about my life, what he would think about my job and what I've accomplished, my TikTok. And I miss the relationship we could have created. And the reason that I'm saying this is, I'm not saying this isn't a cure-all for everybody by any means, but I truly believe that the foundations of mental health have to come from talking about it, opening up your hearts, lending a hand, seeing somebody if they're having a hard time, just asking if they need you. I wish somebody would have done that for him. I wish I would have done it.
It's called being a friend. Yep, that's the number one preventative for mental health crises is having friends, having people that care about you around you and caring for people.
You're like the gay Medusa. Now look at this girl over here. Boom! You're wearing flannel. Look at. Okay, so I get this comment here, and I find it interesting, and I think a lot of people pose this kind of question. Let me see if I can handle it for you. Number one, in a secular democracy based on a democratic constitution, the government should have no part in religion whatsoever. And as we've progressed as a society, right, we have watched the
Religion
government
should have no part
recede
in government.
that sort of area. In Canada, for example, stores used to be forced to be closed on Sunday. No longer. I used to have to stand and say the Lord's Prayer in the morning in a public school. No longer. Every day we grow, we become more intelligent and more aware of how the government has no business imposing religious beliefs or religious holidays onto the public. That is crossing the line of religious freedom. I don't want my government to tell me anything about what religion I should believe in, what holidays I should take, which ones I should respect. And in the future, we'll see them recede even more. As for gender identity, A, they have nothing to do with each other, and gender identity is not a belief.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Careful now. Remember what she said earlier about gender not being real.
Sir or ma'am, it's who they are.
Oh. Uh-oh.
And you don't want to take that into account because you're so concerned with your perception of the world or your perception of them. Very much like your perception that the government has a right to indoctrinate people into Christianity. It's not the case, and it's not constitutionally supported.
Let me rewind that. Because did she just put words in this man's mouth, in this dude's mouth, in this person's mouth?
As for gender identity, A, they have nothing to do with each other. And gender identity is not a belief, sir or ma'am. It's who they are. And you don't want to take that into account because you're so concerned with your perception of the world or your perception of them. Very much like your perception that the government has a right to indoctrinate people into Christianity.
Where did that assumption come from? This is a very plain question. She recontextualized this to fit a narrative that was, she's just strawmanned. She went from denouncing a gender identity as a belief what?
Not the case, and it's not constitutionally supported. As far as gender identity goes, how does it harm you? How does it impact your rights? In a democracy,
there's this phenomenon. It's called the snowball effect, but it's also called something else. What is it also called? I forget what it's also called. Snowball effect versus, there's a different phenomenon. Versus, there's another phenomenon. It's something weird.
We are here to support fundamental freedoms as big as we can support them, as to it not negatively impacting other people.
The negative impact upon the belief of these inconsistent and infinite amount of gender pronouns, it's that no one will be, there's no way to determine that without it's anarchy in society. So everything becomes unnecessary. Because if you say you can identify with a gender as you want, why can you not identify as an age that you want? Why can you not identify as non-human, which you can, and people do, if that's considered any identity, gender identity, because gender is is strictly based off of the biological truth and natural truth of sex, what is the difference between anything that is a construction based off of a natural fact being used to categorize natural fact like time and minutes? Why are we why is there age limits to anything? And that opens the box to sexual access and consents, and also words and nonverbal communication. All these things were created for a structure so that there can be a way to interact with each other so we do not interfere with each other's lives negatively. But this is going to cause a negative effect because it causes a disconstruction of classifications that keep people safe. She continues to disacknowledge the fact that there are people that do not care about the well-being of others. Much too optimistic. Much too. Even though I agree with some things.
Christianity, let's say, gives 2 weeks off at Christmas time, call it holiday break all you want. They are imparting their belief structure onto us whether we like it or not. When it comes to gender identity, I'm not imparting anything of what I believe or what I think. What I think doesn't matter. It's what the individual is that matters. And why?
What are you talking about? There would be no is for them if it wasn't for someone else. If it wasn't for a language they learned. The only way you're able to communicate a pronoun is by having a language that was created by most likely straight individuals that believed in the two gender system. So you accepting the making of these words and the when you create new these new pronouns, taking words that have already been created by people with these straight beliefs. Construct your own new language and your own new society. Don't impose it on other people. They are imposing a belief. You're saying what you believe doesn't matter. Oh, yes, it does, because they want you to believe that you acknowledge them for what they believe they are, not for what they are. You're lying to yourself.
I'm tired of seeing your posts saying absolutely nothing. Oh, dingo, hun. I just don't think you're hearing me because I say quite a bit. So this TikTok is just for you, hun. Are you ready? Why don't you go ahead and hit screen record just in case you need to play it back at a later date? Fill in some of those gaps for you. Here we go. Every society worth anything has to be based on social justice, equality, and equity. If it is not premised on that foundation, it is flawed, it is fractured. It is like building a house on a faulty foundation and it will crumble. There's no amount of patching, no amount of wall paint that is...
Words mean things, and when this person that claims to be so intelligent uses words that do not convey the message that they mean or they're intending to, nobody has to do anything. The best societies should have that as a basis. Societies that have existed, there have been societies where those were not the foundation. Now, if you're saying a society has to have these things in order not to have these cracks, words mean things.
That is ever going to overcome those failures. In order to keep that as a solid society, what would I do? I would pour money into 3 specific areas. Each one is going to help that foundation.
I see she's still with the advent of the monetary system. The best systems don't have money. They have barter systems. So how about that?
Stronger and more sustainable for future generations to come. Number 1, education. I would pour money into it. Teachers would be the most well-paid and well-educated people on the planet. Why? Because it's their job to form young minds. They're it. They're our front line for everything that's going to happen in this future. Whether your kid's going to succeed or fail, whether your kid's going to feel good about themselves, whether your kid is going to go on to do amazing, incredible things, that's it. That's the place. We have to stop undervaluing it. We have to make sure it is built with just...
They need to first revalue the household and the structure that parents provide for the child before they send off to the teacher. Because if the parents don't have enough wherewithal to send their children to a teacher that is actually going to get them somewhere, and not to a school where this person could potentially be their teacher, then they need to invest into that home.
Justice and equity for all races, all sexes, all sexual orientations, all people who identify in any way they wish to identify. Number 2, healthcare, including mental and physical health. You can't build a strong society unless they have that. We, for generations, ignored mental health, and now every once in a while we talk about it like it's a catchphrase. Again, pouring money into free, accessible mental health. You want to change the future? You want to change our mindset? That's where it happens.
Free, accessible mental health care.
And number 3, child protective services. How are these not the most important people on the planet? I want them to be paid triple, quadruple of what they're actually earning right now. I want their caseload to be...
I would like there to be zero money in child protective services, because I wouldn't like the necessity of the child protective services in the best society. So because you accept and you tolerate the beliefs of all these people and their genders and their afflictions, obviously there's going to be some people victimized because you're accepting things that should not be accepted. You're tolerating things that should not be tolerated. You're tolerating deviancies that should not be tolerated, that then transition into destructive adult behaviors as an adult, that they victimize children because all these things have been allowed. So if child protective services exist, that means because deviancy exists, crimes exist. Disgusting.
greatly diminished, so they can take every single minute and dedicate it to ensure that kids are safe and taken care of. You want to change the future. You want to make sure that we're premised in something healthy and sustainable. That's where it happens. So, Dingo, play this message back anytime you think I haven't said enough. Have a good day, hon. Are you a 4-year-old woman or a 14-year-old boy? Oh, my dude. Can I call you my dude? Think a little highly of yourself, hey? Oh. Well, yeah, I do. I do think don't you? Don't you think highly of yourself and your accomplishments? I mean, I spent a very long time in 3 different educational institutions, growing my body of work and growing my ability to become a critical thinker of all sorts of information and a few different disciplines. I then took a break from that and I traveled. I had the incredible privilege of traveling traveling to so many different parts of this world and seeing new cultures and new identities and new ways of living firsthand, and having that interaction broaden my horizons. I'm a woman, so
But you were never had to be treated like that because you always. I don't know what you looked like in youth, but you always had a privilege of not being treated differently. You've always. It's a different sort of privilege. So good thing that you acknowledge that.
obviously there's been that I've had to figure out how to walk in this world like that, and figure out how to perceive the world as I do so. Coming out as gay, I mean, a lot of people would say, wow, that must have been really hard, but you know
No.
what being gay did for me, outside of, sure, dating the people that I really want to date, it pushed me to the outside. It pushed me outside of that bubble that people live in so comfortably.
Into a new bubble. Into a new bubble.
Before I realized what marginalization was, before I realized what oppression, what that kind of harassment, what that kind of weight of otherness felt like.
So she took on the victimization of other people's oppression, and now she feels like she's a victim of it and she has to teach people about it. Or she recognizes it and wants to teach about it, which is fine if you're teaching about the victimization of others. However, you put yourself in a marginalized group of people. You chose to do that. Getting to date the people you truly want to.
And so I've gone through that, learning every step of the way. And then for the last 20 years, I've been a teacher to high school students. I love my job. I feel privileged to have it. And every day, not only do I feel like I give them something, but they give me something back, thus continuing my level of learning. So yeah. And you think that I don't have any insecurities. Well, that's ridiculous. Of course I do. But then what I've discovered is I have these insecurities or these down days. And I have a family, and I have an army of people around me that think I'm pretty awesome. So on the days where I don't feel so highly of myself, they're there to remind me of who I am, what I've accomplished, and what I will accomplish. And I'm pretty grateful for that. So genuinely, I do feel highly of myself. And also genuinely, I really hope you do too. And maybe sometimes you need to say it, so people that doubt you or people that challenge you can know exactly who you are and what power you have. Have a good day. Okay, so I had to come out of school, sit in my car just to do this TikTok, because I've had the funniest day when it comes to my grade 7s and 8s. Now, sometimes I can complain about them because their energy level is here, and I'm old, so it's way down here. But they bring me up on most days. Anyways, yesterday we were having a discussion, and somebody had somebody had said something about when do you shower, and I heard them talking about hygiene stuff a little bit. And for everybody, like, the reality is, in grades 7 and 8, y'all hit puberty, right? There's a majority of boys in this class, but obviously a few girls. Anyways, I heard them rumbling about it, so I thought now's the time to bring it up. I teach history. I do not, and global issues. I don't teach health, but it doesn't matter. Everybody should kind of address this, especially when they bring it up in your class. It's a good time, right? So I hear them talking about it. I go, guys, can you have a seat for a second? Let's just talk about something for a minute. So they say, I say, listen, you guys are all going to hit puberty really soon. A couple kids go, puberty? What's puberty? Because they weren't a part of the conversation. So I'm like, okay, well, it's when your body matures and, a bunch of different things happen. But one of the things I want to talk about right now is something so we can preempt something that's going to happen. And here's what's going to happen. You guys are going to get hormones raging through your body, and that bath at night or that bath every couple of nights that you used to get away with when you were a kid, you can't get away with that anymore. You got to get up in the morning, hop in that shower, soap up, wash the hair, the whole 9 yards, so you don't smell later in the day. And they're like, what do you mean we're going to smell? I'm like, well, but it's natural. It's absolutely natural. But here, I want to tell you this now. Because I don't want to have to tell you this when you walk into my room or I hear a kid making fun of you or whatever's going to happen because you don't smell so good that day because testosterone is the great equalizer. So they're all looking at me like, okay, so fine, we're going to shower in the mornings, and then we talked about deodorant and all of that kind of stuff. That's not the best part. The best part is, so they go away last night and they come back this morning. And then this morning, this amazing little tiny grade 7 guy comes up to me and goes, Joanna, I went home last night. I talked to my mom about this puberty thing. I said, oh, yeah? And he goes, you know what? She knew all about it. I'm like, yeah, well, she'd kind of been through, and he was just shocked. And he's like, so we sat down last night and we came up with a plan. I got up this morning. I had a shower. She got me my deodorant. He goes, I'm blown away that she already knew what you were talking about. Thank you so much for talking about it. Guys, some days, my heart 3 sizes too big. I'm telling you right now. So I recently been getting a lot of DMs, a lot of messages from the trans community, the non-binary community, especially a lot of young listeners or young viewers here, and they're thanking me for standing up for them. They're thanking me for saying the things that they wish they could say on the platform that I have.
Interesting.
And I want to say one thing. I don't need to stand up for you. I know that you know yourself, you have this incredibly strong identity and sense of self, and you've been through it, and you've learned how to stand
Children
up
have
for
been
yourself.
through nothing when it comes to gender identity. They've been allowed to exist in an uncorrected fashion.
What I promise you is this.
And the resistance that they are met with even with they don't keep themselves in that company. They keep themselves around the people that agree with them. They don't accept challenge to their mindset. They don't have to rationalize the position because they can be as they are, as they say. No.
I might not have to stand up for you, but I promise to stand up with you.
Only for her to say that gender doesn't exist, so their identity doesn't exist because it's a gender identity, which gender doesn't exist. In her mind, how does she say this? How is she? I don't know.
Okay, guys, listen. So I come on this app all the time, giving you guys my opinion, telling you how I teach and what kind of vital information that I distribute in my classroom. But today, I want to tell you a vital lesson that one particular student taught me. A lesson I will never forget, and I think it's essential for everybody to learn. So when I first started teaching, there was a very specific dress code that all of our young female students had to abide, right? The guys had one too, but let's be honest, not even in the same hemisphere as the one that's applied to our young female students. No spaghetti straps, no midriff showing, no inappropriate rips anywhere. And this dress code was supposed to be there to protect our young women, right? Protect them from whatever was lurking around whatever corner. And I took it as my job to make sure that I was protecting them as well. It was also sort of inferred that if they dressed in a certain way, maybe they weren't feeling so good about themselves. So it was also my job to sort of pump up their ego so they didn't feel the need to dress in a certain way. And then a young student named Stephanie actually sat me down about 6 or 7 years ago and said, Joanna, listen, I don't understand these dress codes. I don't understand why I, as a student, can't wear spaghetti straps or can't show my stomach or can't dress in a certain way. I don't understand how that's indicative or that's reflective of who I am. I believe these dress codes are all about what the boys or the men in our world are going to do or say or think about us depending on how we dress. And these dress codes aren't about protecting us. It's about controlling them. And as I sat there and listened to her, I came to the incredible, rational conclusion that she was 100% right. That dress codes we impose on our young women and our women in general in this world aren't about the women. They're about what we think the men can handle, right? They're about trying to protect themselves because of this predatory culture that we have allowed to exist. And I was blown away as I sat, and she was maybe 16 at the time, and I sat there and thought, oh my God, I've been perpetuating this insanity for the beginning part of my career. And it was at that moment that I realized that I came to terms with what women wear is about their empowerment. They can wear whatever they want, and I will never, ever do anything but support them in doing so.
Women, not girls. Okay? I don't even disagree with everything she said. However, allowing this culture of predatory behavior, when the behavior has been mitigated by the dress code, so it doesn't exist because it's not being allowed. It's mitigating risk for boys that are going through puberty. So when girls aren't ever told, oh, hey, be nicer when your hormones are going out of whack. They aren't told to be nicer. Men are told to deal with it, saying, oh, this is a symptom of PMS. They're going to be cranky, groggy, irritable. We're told, oh, we just got to deal with that. Women aren't told, oh, just deal with the horniness of men when they're teenagers, the sexual maturity of males. Men aren't going to rape you in a classroom. It's just going to be a distraction and a discomfort that it causes to when you really think about feminism, if it's not truly about equality, because you would consider the male perspective, but to each your own, not to each their own, but all in all, the dress code for females is at least cover up as much as the guys are. Most guys aren't wearing tank tops all the time. Boys don't go shirtless to school. Boys don't wear spaghetti straps. And it's because of the difference between male and female in what attracts them is what... Okay.
Oh, Jason. Hey guys, Melissa and I are here at... They're not hate coming from me. Just want to know how you're not a she. Of course you should be paid the most. I'm a teacher. Okay. This individual seems to think that when I was speaking about fundamentally transforming the educational system and starting to pay teachers what
This is one I replied to. I said parents are the foundation. They send them to school and pay for the curriculum. It'll never be the teacher's fault, always the parents.
Just to benefit my pocketbook. Okay, let me walk you through my process, hon. Number one, I would say the highest paid for a teacher should be elementary school teachers. They should also have a much higher level of education, and they should also be specialized. We are treating elementary school teachers as babysitters. And when I said in that last TikTok, they are the foundation of the whole house we are building, I was speaking about elementary. FYI, I'm high school. Side note. Number two, you never actually addressed if you think that teachers don't deserve the money. If you think that
then don't imply
is
either
such
or.
a useless, mediocre profession that deserves a middle-of-the-range kind of salary. You never address that because I know flat well you'd lose that argument. So I'm going to put that over here, and I'm going to assume you understand that. And number three, no, being a teacher doesn't ensure the child passes. You're the kind of parent that calls in when your kid gets a 27 because they were up all night playing video games and somehow it's the teacher's fault, right? That's not the way it works. If the individual doesn't try, doesn't put in the effort, or if the individual just isn't getting the concepts, they shouldn't pass the course. That's the sign of a good teacher, my dude, not passing somebody through just because I'm not going to get a call from you later that day or it's going to save my board money, because that's the whole No Child Left Behind policy is all about. Are you with me so far? I have one more thing to say. Buckle up for this one. A teacher's true test isn't about what goes on in their classroom. It's about what happens after. In elementary school, it's about what happens in high school. In high school, it's about what happens in university. University is about what happens in real life. We are preparing them for their futures, for them to handle this fluctuating, rapidly changing economy. That's our job, and that's our test. You don't want to have this nice little check in the box, did my kid get a 90, therefore I'm a good teacher test, when it's so ridiculously simplistic for you, and therein lies the problem. Education is not simplistic. It's expensive, it takes time, it takes perseverance, and it takes intelligence to reshape in order to adequately prepare our youth for the world around us. And yeah, teachers should be paid for that. Have a good day. A delusion. Okay, hun, so how you identify, is that a delusion too? Tanya, I'm going to start calling you him. Are you cool with that? Is that okay? I'm going to decide who you are, and I'm going to impose it upon you. And not just that, I'm going to oppress and ridicule and limit who you get to be, how you're going to dress. You can no longer dress in feminine clothing at all. No more makeup for you, Tanya. That's just not in the cards. That's a delusion. It's your delusion. And I'm going to step in and solve it. Or, and I'm just spitballing here, hon, maybe we let people identify with who they are and just respect it. Let them dress, be, have whatever gender identifiers they want. Hon, a delusion. Okay, hon, so how you identify, is that a delusion too?
Yes, you believe that as well. So why are you arguing? What are you arguing for? Did you change your position? Did she suddenly change her position?
Okay, so breaking story, right? The whistleblower from Facebook has ripped. Okay, guys, so, I mean, a lot of you know the big news that I have, which is just incredible. Like, I don't even understand how it happened, but here it is. So, as of tomorrow, I, on my podcast, link in bio, get to interview Rosie freaking O'Donnell. Now, I was handling it pretty good for a while. I was pretty calm, cool. People would ask me. So, yeah, this is absolutely right. All students at Metro Prep call all of the teachers, including the principal and owner of the school, by our first names. Okay, guys, so I had to come on here. Okay, welcome to Unlearn16 classes in session, guys. I have an amazing guest coming up. I can't even, I'm just, I start to sweat when I think about it because she's that inspiring and that fantastic. Miss Rosie O'Donnell.
Well, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to have done your podcast, and these people, now they get to listen to it.
Okay, guys, I have a fantastic story to tell you, so buckle in, get some popcorn, do what you gotta do. Okay, it's time for a story, and... What? Bravo, hun. Some of us don't want to be called hun. Okay, hun. Okay, okay. Have a good day, sweetheart. Teachers should teach math, science, history, the basics. I got you. So reading, writing, arithmetic. Okay. We should stay away from politics, stay away from gender, stay away from religion. There's a few problems with this. Okay, look, I think we've gotten close enough together, you know, you, me, the... So manipulative teaching ideologies fit your preferences, subverts the rights of... My dude, listen, I'm not subverting anybody's rights. I am giving all the information, and if by educating...
Oh, no, you are not. No. Don't. No. How she that was a bold-faced lie. Okay. So if we know we fit her, now this is a narrative. Okay, this is unfortunate.
Your children, I'm actually subverting your control. I'm all in. I'm pushing all the chips onto the table, and thank God that I'm there. Number 2, equity isn't discriminatory.
What? If we understand what equity is, if we understand what discrimination is selective. You are selecting a particular thing and focusing efforts in a particular area to was it used in a discriminatory in a negative connotation, or did you assume that? Discrimination does not always mean racism. Equity is discriminatory in that it targets specific things and allocates more resources to another thing to make it or to best for a best application. So that is discrimination. What did she say?
Oh, my dude, listen, maybe you just don't know what it is. Equity means to give people the right tools in order to show what they know and what they can achieve. Let me give you an example.
It doesn't matter what equity means. It means it matters what discrimination means, because that's where you got all your panties in a bunch.
I have 2 students in a class. One student great at
Don't need
writing
to hear
tests.
that.
The other one
Okay.
great at verbally giving me the information. Both are highly intelligent and have the information, understand it critically, analyze it even, although I'm pretty sure you don't like that. And they just have to give it to me in a different way. Why would I get in the way of that? Why wouldn't I have an equitable testing system in order to ensure that I get at what's in their head to the best possible degree? Second, gender is just male or female. Look, hon, gender are a set of characteristics we attribute to 2 biological sexes. Oh, P.S., there's actually, I think, at least 6, maybe 8 designated biological sexes, but I'm going to skip right over that. Let's just talk about gender. These 2 categories, one category all feminine characteristics, one category all masculine characteristics.
No.
You want to know what's true about gender? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nobody on this planet fits either category. And the fact that we are forcing young children into these categories, into these boxes, limits who they're going to be, how they can express themselves, and
now who's thinking in black? Now, oh my! I've already discussed this. Now she's just exposing her true colors. It's
this world.
she's frustrated because she doesn't know.
Hey, Mark. How you doing, hon? Look, just a quick question. Do you know the definition of irony? They're not worth. They're nothing but fools. Just take a quick gander. Look it up for me. Kids nowadays. Yeah. Sometimes I don't even need to talk on this app to prove my point.
You don't have
So
you haven't.
recently, my comment section over
The
here
fallacy
has
of
been quite
objectivity.
filled
Let's see what she
and
says.
inundated with people, well, let's just say concerned with my teaching ability and the fact that they believe I'm influencing these young minds with my own personal beliefs and perspectives, and I'm transforming them, turning them into my own little automatons to go out into the world and do my bidding. Couldn't be further from the truth, my dudes. But let me be very clear about something else. This notion of objectivity you keep trying to impress upon me and saying, Joanna, just teach from the book. Don't you dare give an opinion. Number 1, it doesn't exist. Objectivity doesn't exist. And individuals claiming they have it are using that term in order to manipulate you into believing they have truths that they don't actually have. Every person on this planet has bias. Here's the key. You should address your bias. Tell people when you come into that room who you are, what you stand for, why you stand for it, what's influenced you, and put it right on the table and say, here's who I am, here's where I come from, here's my perspective. Want to know the key? Then surround yourself in that.
This chick does not know the difference between perspective and perception. If an apple is in the middle of a room, and there are and people are standing in a circle, and it's in a square, but it's in a square with plates lifted, but only one side is exposed. Only about a fourth of that circle can see the apple inside the box, and they say there's an apple inside the box. And then actually, it's not really a box. It's more of it's a 3/4 box, and there's an apple in the middle. And the people on the edges say, no, that's a no, it's not. It's just a square, or no, it's not. It's just it's only I don't know. You go to the side. No, it's just a square. The other side. No, that's two planes pointing out. No, it's just a square. No, it's two planes pointing out. No, it's just a square. No, it's just a corner. There's only from each side. There's one person. There's one person's right. No, it's an apple and there's three sides around it. Everyone else, from a different perspective, cannot see that there is an apple inside, but they are so adamant that they're right because of their perception of reality. I mean, from their perspective, they have this perception that there is nothing on the other side because they don't see it. Now, from the person that has objective perspective, that they all are in experience what is objectively there can be seen by that person with the perspective of the three sides and the apple. That is the objective reality. This person's perspective and perception lines up with objectivity because it is observing the natural state in full. Whether or not the perception and perspective of these people are accurate to what they see, it is not the objective. It's not the objective reality because that is not the whole. That is not complete. Just because your perception is misguided because you have a different perspective does not mean that the perspective of someone that's coming from that is viewing something that is objective is wrong. And that's where you fall into your own fallacy. Close your eyes, nothing's there. But so what's your point? Is nothing objective as well? When you close your eye, if someone has their eyes removed, what do they see? Nothing. Is that not objective in itself? If an objectivity, that's why the word object, because something stagnant, does not move, non-changing. Just because something that doesn't change is okay.
That room with not like-minded people of different races, religions, cultures, socioeconomic backgrounds, sexual orientations, right? These people are going to come with their bias and their perspective and their lived experience. And then what you're going to do is you're going to listen. You're going to listen to who they are and what they're bringing to the table, and then maybe the more diverse you can make the room, the more impressive you can make this intellectual discourse become, the better answers you'll come to. But nobody's coming in there objective. Not a single person. My job as a teacher is to create.
What about the most educated of them all? If the person has done those things and knows how to, and when they decide to see new information, no one's coming in because you can't know. Is it because you can't know everything? But the things that you have seen are as they are. What are you talking about? Just because you cannot see everything in your line of sight does not mean the thing that you see does not exist. And the other way around too. Wow. Okay.
Such an incredibly safe space that those kids can walk in their room and they can speak about all of the different lived experience they've had. By the way, this notion that curriculum is objective or a history book is objective, oh my God, hun, it doesn't happen. A room full of people got to decide what is important enough to put in that history book. And we all know the winners write history. That's just a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the truth. And then you get a bunch of people to decide on curriculum. Here's the problem there. Not only do they decide what goes into the curriculum, the bigger problem is what they exclude from the curriculum. And there's bias in that too. That's why it's so incredibly important that these rooms have incredible diversity within them so they can get closer to the truth. Never add it because it doesn't exist in a real way. Education is about the debate and the discussion, not the end result.
What did she just say?
This in a real way. Education is about the debate and the discussion, not the end result.
Education is about the debate and discussion, not the end result. Okay.
And that's so I think I've calmed down enough to actually give you my perspective on this whole John W. North teacher disaster that has just gone on in California. For those who don't know, there's a teacher at this high school who has adorned herself with a homemade indigenous headdress. And, babe, there's a new show called The Morning Show. All the best you can do with that education is tell everyone on TikTok. Oh, P.S. TikTok, T-I-K. T-O-K. FYI, push that over there. What you think other than doing something useful with your time. Oh, my dude.
That's subjective.
Okay, so I was just at McDonald's for lunch, as I always am.
You are telling people what you think.
Okay, so, alright, what do we got here? Mountain Patriarch. Oh, hun. Sometimes you make it too easy. When it's the first hey, Doug. Okay, there are 3 things that make me cry like a baby.
Okay.
The haircut alone, I can see sometimes. Oh my, hun, like, look, is it the really good fade? I mean, I can give you my barber's number, and nobody needs to be jealous of the fade. Is that? Oh, you're. So, in order to get into teachers' college in Canada, well, in Ontario, anyways, you need an actual teaching experience. I know that seems insane, but you did nonetheless. So I went to a former teacher of mine who is now a principal at a high school, and she let me come and volunteer in the high school she was then teaching at. Everything was going great. I was okay, guys, let me get this straight. There's a bunch of Trump supporters at the site where JFK was shot in Dallas, Texas, right now, currently waiting for JFK Jr. to come back to life where his dad was shot. once JFK Jr. comes back to life, they think he's going to be the vice president to Trump and help him get back in office as president. What on earth is going on down there? Somebody go get your kids. Okay, guys, let me...
Okay. I'm about done. She's dangerous. And the fact of the matter is, she knows how to use this platform, and she has a large audience. She's in an echo chamber right now. She's not diversifying her experiences anymore. She's completely closed off to objectivity because she wants to be so fluid in this thing, in her own identity. She doesn't want to be put in a box, so she's not going to allow society to dictate boxes for people, which is fine in some cases, but in terms of things that should right and wrong, I have a feeling she's fluid on that too, and that's unfortunate. Positives about her. Let's some positives. Can speak clearly. Get to her point across clear and concisely. Good delivery of it. High engagement. And even gives some facts at some points. It has good content. It talks about some important topics. The ones that and has a connection with youth. Those are all great things. The dangerous parts is her tolerance of deviancy. And the door she opens with not being concise and certain because of her disbeliefs and objectivity. Although she contradicted herself. She said it twice that gender didn't exist, or maybe once, and then she, after that, began to say it did exist. I think she needs therapy. With someone that truly cares about her, that'll give her the honest truth. Honest truth. No holds barred. I wish her the best in the living the most productive life as possible, most positively productive life as possible. I hope she heals from any traumas that she's had. I hope she continues her path of education and learning and unlearning things she has learned, because there are certain things she has learned that she needs to unlearn. That has she ever learned something, had to unlearn it and then relearn something? Has she ever? Because I believe she's rejected some things, some truths, just to be more tolerant of other people, thinking she had to change herself to be in the space in order to be accepted by these people. If you have to be accepted by people that will exclude you for being yourself or believing the truth, then those shouldn't be people you want around you, even if you want to learn from them. I don't mind exposing myself to this content because I can look at it and see it for what it is. Just like I didn't poke fun necessarily at her comedy. I tried not to make as demeaning comments as possible. I did want to point out the danger that she has with her content. And some people in the comments have, not so tastefully and without spelling their words correctly. You know, not everyone's perfect, but when you're typing, you should, if you're going to insult someone, at least make it sure it's spelled right. but I wouldn't. I try not to throw insults. If you're truly for education, then you should be able to take correction and take challenge. If you consider debate and conversation, but if the premise of your debate or conversation is not rooted in reality because you believe the reality of other people's supersedes the reality of you're choosing someone else's reality over other people's. So you are saying that there is a definitive, which is objective. So you contradict yourself. All right. Thank you all for watching. Anyone that has watched, be blessed, stay blessed, and I'll see you all in the next one.